and like wills, like life insurance policies, all that. Like she on top of that kind of shit.
Let me read this. Let me throw this in here real quick. Biology book. All right. Microbiology, an introduction, 10th edition. All right. Biology book. In a biology book, they talking about vaccines. Let's come to the clinical focus from morbidity to mortality, weekly report. The World Health Problem. Watch this. It says in 1920, prior to the development of the measles vaccine, nearly 500,000 cases of measles occurred, with over 7,500 deaths in the United States. In 2007, only 30 cases of measles were reported in the United States. So we go from 500,000 to 30 cases based off of vaccinations. All right, but that's in this country. Watch this. However, measles is still endemic in many countries, meaning like in countries, they have a problem with measles, okay? However, measles is still an endemic in many countries. Worldwide, there are 70 million cases each year. I'm gonna say it again, 70 million cases each year. Measles is still one of the top 20 causes of death, killing 6 children per day. I'm gonna read this again for all y'all comfortable Negro pens chilling in the United States, denying vaccines and telling people not to get it. You can do this because you're surrounded by people that are vaccinated, okay? I'm gonna read this again. However, measles is still an endemic in many countries. Worldwide, there are 70 million cases each year. Measles is still one of the top 20 causes of death, killing 600 children per day. What would happen if we stopped vaccinating against measles? If there were no vaccines, there would be many more cases of disease. Along with more disease, there will be serious sequels and more deaths. Some vaccine preventable diseases are still quite prevalent in other parts of the world. As occurred in this case, travelers can unlikely bring these diseases to the United States. And if we were not protected by vaccines, these diseases could spread quickly throughout the population, causing an endemic here. So y'all can play like vaccines aren't part of a healthy community and a healthy culture. It absolutely is. Viruses don't have no picks. They pick the old, the young, and the new, the black, the white, the green, and the purple people that live on this earth. All right. They don't say, I'm not gonna get you because you're eating elderberries and fruits and vegetables. That's not how it works. Right? When they teach biology in school, biology textbooks, they're mentioning vaccines because it's essential for thriving communities to be properly educated. Is essential for survivability in 2022. Viruses seek to infect you. RNA viruses are the oldest viruses on planet Earth. As a matter of fact, sex was actually a response to viruses. Part of our genome has viruses in it. Sex, having babies, was part of the system trying to develop more variation so that the virus and the bacteria wouldn't kill you. That's why your genes recombinate. That's why diversity in genes are important, so you don't pass on certain diseases over and over and over again caused by viruses. Man, your immune system is incredible. It has the codes to all viruses created. But vaccines actually train your immune system so you ain't got to go through that. Man, pay attention, people is dying, man. A good friend of mine, man, see, they made this thing a secret. Like you can't even say that somebody actually got sick and almost died in public based off of their buffoonery. They get mad at you. Why you say? Because nigga, you wasn't listening when I told you to listen. So I'm gonna bring one of my friends on, let him tell you y'all's story about how he denied vaccines and wanted to take the elderberries and the fruits and vegetables. I'm gonna give him a break right now. Somebody close to me. All right. And I'm gonna bring them on and let them tell you their story. At this point, they're like, man, I'll take whatever the fuck they got to give me. There is no Black Power ambulance. There is no vegan hospital. There's no quote unquote ambulance with the naturopathic symbol on it coming to get you when your ass gets sick. So while y'all promote anti-vaccines, if I accept what you're saying and get sick, I still got to call the very hospitals and ambulances that you got me saying don't fuck with. Because at the end of the day, man, check this out, man. Bullshit walk and money talk. They put a lot of money in making sure these vaccines has been affordable for us. They put a lot of money in research and technology over the years to make sure that they're ready for the next virus that comes. Viruses are undefeated, man. They're not going nowhere. Measles ain't left. All the things we've been vaccinated against ain't went nowhere. It's just waiting for you to slip up. Waiting for you to say, hey, man, we good. Waiting for opportunities like now. It ain't over with. We're still in a pandemic. People let their guards down. They're drained. They're tired of talking about it. This is when a lot of people around you gonna get got. Because guess what? America don't really give a fuck about you. They just want you to get vaccinated so you can take your ass back to work. This motherfucker needs to be opened up 24/7 for it to make sense. It's always been about the money in America. And vaccines is an efficient way to make sure you're not dying before you go to work. I just want to throw that out there for the people, man. And sorry to hear that about your friend Concrete Corey, man. I know it's on your heart, bro. I fought and made sure all my friends got vaccinated. There was no way you was gonna get past me. And there's a few like Donald. You know what I'm saying? Dumb. I'm saying it. Just dumb. Yeah, you're left out there, bro. Andre. Yeah, I'm calling your name out, bro. Yeah, Andre. Yeah, I know. Yeah, nigga. You foolish on this sad subject matter, yo. Watch yourself out there in these corona streets, bro. Somebody else hit that mic, man.
Peace, God killer. Peace, God killer. How you doing? That was a powerful bill.
Good, bro.
Everything you said was on point. Our generation, the MMR vaccine, there's a generation of kids growing up that don't know what measles are, that don't know what mumps are, that don't know what rubella are, don't know what chickenpox are, all because they were vaccinated as babies. That's why this discussion from the beginning up and the onset made no sense to me. Everyone having this discussion is vaccinated. Everyone having this discussion that's alive today has been part of the vaccine program as a kid. That's why they're alive today to be arguing against vaccines. It makes no logical sense. People are dying and we make excuses. We don't see the answer.
That's crazy, Cedric. Hold on, not to interrupt. Unc told me about my behavior too. We had a long discussion today too about my behavior, and believe me, I see it. Everybody see it. Everybody who know me see it. So I'm working on that. You know what I mean? But don't worry about it. But man, you said it's crazy, Cedric, because you said they got vaccinated in order to be able to be here alive, having
he put it in the chat. Hey, my fault, Corey. We got another link or something, yo?
I did. I put it in the chat, right? Does that one work, Jackie?
A new link? No, because this stream is off right here.
Right. Sheffrin put us on another stream. He cut it in half. So I got the Zoom.
Oh, we good. It's still running. I see. That's slick. That's slick.
Yeah,
that's
so
some
I
slick
put the
shit right
Zoom
there.
link in there.
Seamlessly. Good job. Good job, Chef, with that one. That's a good job. Go ahead,
Yeah,
keep going.
bad
My
boy.
fault. Go ahead.
Chef
Bad
and a
boy with
bad boy,
that.
ain't he?
Yes,
I'm gonna
sir.
paste it again. Jackie, let me know, or somebody let me know if this link actually works. Sometimes the link don't work every now and then, but yeah, y'all go. What was us? I forgot where I was at. If anybody wanted to chime in, Cedric was saying
you was not letting me run a stop sign, and that's
yeah,
what we do
yeah.
around here.
I wanted to stop you right there because that was a good stop sign too. Like, these people have been vaccinated, right? So that they can grow up and have an anti-vax argument with us. That's what the vaccine's done for them. It kept them alive so that they can grow up and have an anti-vax argument with us. But it's crazy, Cedric, when you say the irony of that, right? The irony of that is so crazy, man.
Yeah, it like from the beginning, like 2 years ago, I said the way we're gonna get out of this pandemic is by the advent of a vaccine. Watching the way it was spreading and that it's killing people, I know we needed a vaccine. Now, I was off with my timing. I said, like, based on the conventional vaccines, I said at least 2 years. They're gonna do their best. They're gonna rush it, but at least 2 years. Now, technology, thank you, science, messenger RNA technology, vaccines are within a year. We dramatically reduced the amount of people that was going to die. Like, that's another stop sign. Like, understand if those vaccines didn't come out, the death rate would have continued to escalate. Hospitals would have ran down. Our food supply, our food chain would have shut down. Countries were in lockdown. People wasn't moving. Ships wasn't moving. Stock supplies were running low. People don't understand. Another year without the vaccine, the world was screwed. We were all in a state of shit. Like, for real, people don't get the magnitude. Now, the vaccines come out, and I'm starting to hear all this resistance, and I'm going, folks, all of us now having this vaccine debate have at least 12 vaccines, each one of us. The younger generation have a couple more because you were fortunate to get the MMR vaccine. I had to go through getting mumps and measles. You're not, so you have a couple more. How does this argument even make sense? And I would hear things like, I'm an adult now, I can choose for myself. But you survive based on the vaccines. How do you know? Look at the death rate before the vaccine. That it never made sense to me. So yes, we go down the road of explaining and educating, and it's new technology, so we slow it down. We go through the trial, we go through all of this, but fundamentally, there is no argument to be had.
Hey, Cedric, I own my house, right? I own the property that my house sits on, right? Yeah. But I cannot decide to say, fuck it, this my shit, and just set the house on fire. I can't do that. Like, even if I didn't have a family, let's say I was all by myself, I can't set the house on fire, bro, because I got neighbors.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, what if a tree catch, and then the tree catch the neighbor's house on fire, and then his house catch the other house on fire? You know what I mean? Like, it's rules. Like, yeah, it's freedoms. I do own my house. Like, I got the freedom to do what I want in my house, right? But that freedom stops once it starts to affect somebody else's freedom to live in a neighborhood where people don't burn down their houses and shit.
Exactly.
Am I hearing something? Hold on. Is somebody trying to say something, or is that just me? Oh, okay.
I didn't hear it.
No, I
Um,
just want to just kind of piggyback on what Cedric was talking about in terms of like, the whole entire the global economy shut down immediately, right? Just in an instance, right? And what we're seeing now, right, in terms of like the inflation that we're seeing is just a result of our entire supply chain globally being disrupted, right? So all of these crazy, I think the analogy that I think I like the best is they say, when a tsunami hits under the ocean, right? It's like you never see anything. It's like an earthquake that happens, but you see the I guess the ocean swells, right? And the closer it gets to shore, it gets extremely more massive, right? And that's what we're seeing now with a lot of the volatility and actually could potentially create a recession. I think some guys on the panel talked about that earlier, right? We may end up falling into a recession because of that huge supply chain or that huge economic disruption from the pandemic, right? And we're just seeing that now. And I sit back and I look at it. It's like, because I'm a big stock guy. I invest in stock, and I look back and at the time of the pandemic, and you can see, you look at your charts and where it completely dipped. I was like, well, why wasn't I investing at that time? It's like that would have been great. You know why I wasn't? I was trying to buy personal protective equipment for me and my family, right? I was panicking about, I didn't know, what to do, right? So
yeah,
everything else was out of the window. I wasn't even thinking about that, you know. So it just kind of lends credence to how crazy it was at that time. And like I say, this is like a historical, I guess, sort of a moment, right, that we're living in.
yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I worked with a couple. It was two retirees. Well, they retired. They just retired at the end of last year or whatever. But they were, at the time when the pandemic hit, they were getting close to retirement, and so I would hear them discussing their money, their retirement money, and they got scared, and
That's
and
horrible.
they pulled their money out, and
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, and they didn't, I don't know if they took a big hit or if they lost at all, but they wasn't making no money.
Yeah,
You know
because
what I'm saying? Because
think about the people at the bottom of that. Oh my
yeah.
God, yeah, people
Mm-hmm.
that lost it all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, man. And like I said, they was worried. They didn't know what to do, But in retrospect, like after it all panned out, they like, damn, they should have kept their money in there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I just thought about that when you said that, man. It's so much. It's so much that this pandemic has put its hands on. And as me and Cedric was saying earlier, man, it'll be 3-5 years from now before we are really able to appreciate the real damage that's been done here for real. You know what I'm saying?
I think this pandemic touched at the fabric of our cultures. I mean, the World Health Organization, for some reason, chose to adopt the Chinese model, which is these shutdowns and lockdowns, and the rest of the world adopted it. I know what it did to my little island. Like we are the freest set of people that exist. Like you can walk on the street with a bear in your hand at 6 o'clock in the morning and no one bats an eye. Like it's crazy, but you're not gonna get arrested for indecent exposure. Like super easy. Everyone is huggy, touchy, feely, like you greet everyone. It's a small island with 60,000 people. So when the island was completely locked down, shut down, Dutch military in the streets, you needed special waivers to move from one spot to the next. It was eerie. The streets were dead, silent. People stayed in their houses. And I was like, folks, you can go outside. You need the sun. You need the fresh air. but people were so scared they locked themselves up in their homes. And I'm not talking about like living in the city, because our homes are pretty much spread out. So people have room. We're in an open environment, but everyone was locked inside. The fear, you see the hoarding by the supermarkets because they limited the time that you could shop. It was crazy.
Yeah,
And
irrationality. Yeah.
irrationality. And I was like, I was arguing with the woo from the beginning. Like, when my name is Soliga K9 on Facebook, um, most people don't know I have a background in biochemistry. So I'm analyzing the data and I'm going, nope, 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 nope. We're going the wrong way. We're not going to reduce hours. We want to spread people out. So we're going to extend hours. You know, you're going to shorten the working hours of the staff, less time of exposure. We're going to even create an economic benefit, because by reducing hours, you might need more staff. Come on, let's approach this differently. The panic set in. We are accustomed of dealing with hurricanes. So what you do with hurricanes, you hoard people together. You limit the time that things are available. You instill curfews to keep people off the streets because of debris and damage. It's a different scenario with a pandemic. We're dealing with a communicable disease. We need to spread people out as much as possible. But of course, all governments panic all over the world. And we introduce measures to our communities that is not within the Western culture, Western concept. Lockdowns, shutdowns, handouts, free money, free food. It goes against the fabric of what we are. And that's gonna have consequences and effect on our psyche. Like, I'm noticing the amount of traffic accidents is twice, 3 times as high on my island, just because of the tension that the people, they're like post-traumatic stress syndrome, and the mask, and the constant awareness, having to sanitize your hands. That this pandemic has had a real psychological effect on people. I know I was scared. I can acknowledge it.
Yeah, think about it, right? If you go back to the very early stages of the pandemic, we're talking about the irrationalization, right? So you go to the grocery store, you see rice and beans stocked up to the ceiling everywhere, and then you go to the paper towels and I guess the
Like,
toilet paper, and all this is just gone. It's like
gone.
it's like it's completely irrational. Why would you buy tons of paper towels and toilet paper and leave rice and beans on the shelf?
It's being misinformed.
Exactly. Misinformation, not having
Mm-hmm.
a preparedness plan, not having a national preparedness plan to educate the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
terms of how to react in these kind of situations, right? So, you know,
Man,
Yeah,
I
and,
saw
and, and you know, and you know what that highlights, and this brings my man, my man from Hawaii, back into the conversation, right? We have failed our education system in America, right? When you talked about the beans and rice being full in the store, and the toilet paper being gone, right? Like, we spend so much money on bullshit, right? But we don't pay our teachers worth a fuck, dude. And that's why, like, it's hard to be a teacher, right? Teachers don't get into being teachers because of the money, bro. They get into teaching because of the love of teaching, right? And like, we failed our education system, so for the corporations to win. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I be saying, like, we need to have more political conversations, because it all ties in. It all, like, and you said it too, Brendan. It's a political thing. We've politicized it, and but the thing is, if we go back, we gotta, like I always say, go back to that tree we spray painted, right? It's the education system that we neglected all this time, bro. We've neglected that. You know what I'm saying?
Our education system is geared towards producing workers, not thinkers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If we fundamentally wanted correct thinkers in our society, fundamentally we would have philosophy throughout our education system. How do we think?
Go ahead.
We're learning what rational, what logical fallacies are now, and I've been doing it a while. So I'm teaching myself the correct thought process. I'm learning to identify, hey, that's a straw man. Said, nope, that's a false equivocation. If we were taught these things at an extremely young age, correct thought process, how do we evaluate what in our head? Our education system would be producing the highest level of academics around the world. Education system across the globe. I am fighting with the reality that for my daughter to get a sound education, either I'm going to have to dish out $900 a month to send her to a private school on the island that has Common Core at its base, but it's not, they don't teach about no God and Jesus. Otherwise, all the primary schools are religion-based. So I'm fighting with my 4-year-old coming home telling me she has to get on the telephone to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Me, yeah, so now when my child at 4 years old is taught belief is more important than knowledge, you see the results of what we're dealing with today.
Yep. You see the neglect that's been there through the society, and it's not the and when we say and when I'm saying like this is not the teachers, because most of the time the teachers is there trying their hardest, spending their hard-earned money so that they can have the tools and the things that they need to actually teach the class. Like I've been seeing that in the new. I don't know if y'all have seen that lately, right?
Yeah.
Or in the past few years, rather should I say, where it's common now. It's a common ground for teachers to spend their own personal money to get materials for the class.
Investing in their class.
I comment on that. You're definitely right. You 100% right.
Where are we as a society, brother? Bro. How you pronounce your name, brother? Say your name again. My man,
it's just Vision Elohim, man. It's just some rap shit.
Yeah, vision.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How? Explain that to me. How did we get ourselves in this situation, brother? How?
I don't know, because the base salary, like I've been a teacher for a while, but the base salary is about like $40K they paying teachers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely right.
And
30 to 40. Yep.
And then on top of that, you got to stock your classroom every year. You got to get books on top of that. Like somebody like me, I got to get STEM stuff. So I got to get STEM stuff for my iPads in there. That's like $89 for that. You got to get material. You got to replace stuff, and the school don't reimburse you for that. And no. And it's just ridiculous how much people are struggling. I know teachers that are waiting tables for second jobs, you know, and they thinking about giving it up because they can make more money actually waiting tables full time.
It's a concrete truck driver, right? I order my concrete from a ready mix company, right? And the guy quit his teacher's job. Like, he went to school to be a teacher, bro. Like, he quit the job because they pay him more money, you know, driving a concrete truck.
Facts.
You know, like, and he just in the truck driving, dumping concrete. Like, when he was just like, I'm not saying that's not productive. Like, okay, he not making 40,000. Now he making 80 or 90,000, right? But why wasn't the kindergarten teacher making $90,000, bro? Like that, that's my question. That's my thing.
That's
about
crazy.
it. Yeah,
got a question for
Because we don't value the teachers. That's the thing. It's like,
yeah.
you know,
Cedric.
like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Cedric, are you familiar with Trivium?
With Trivium?
Yeah,
No, not
it's
particularly.
a way of teaching where they teach logic, reason, and rhetoric. And I mean, at the time, I didn't know this until I started studying logical fallacies a while ago. But we are taught the way of Trivium in school, but it's a matter of reinforcing it. You know, when your child gets at home, you know what I mean? And it's not, everything is not taught like right away. And matter of fact, let me kind of rephrase this a little bit. I never went to public school really, so I really don't know how they teach in public school. So let me say it like that. I went to private Catholic school, and I didn't come home talking about God and Jesus and stuff like that. They didn't enforce none of that stuff on us, but we were taught trivium, logic, reasoning, and rhetoric. We were taught that. And I realized, like, as I get older, a lot of people, and I remember like damn near everything I learned in school, and I'm talking like third, fourth, fifth grade, stuff like that.
I'm
And
the
I
same
realized
way, Jackie.
a
Yeah,
lot
go
of
ahead though.
people, they be like, oh, we didn't learn that in school. And I'm like, I learned it in school. I remember learning this type of
Yeah,
stuff
Catholic
in
school, you
school.
guys get a great, very classical education. You know,
Hmm.
Well,
in
I really
terms of
think that
that, you guys, did you get a chance to learn some Latin as well?
I really think that the thing with going to private school was that we had smaller class sizes, and our teachers um, could be more attentive to, you know, what we did as far as how we learned, and what we learned and what areas that they can focus on. But
Mm.
you know, a lot of stuff, when you leave that school and you come home, you know, a lot of stuff that you are taught in school is out the window and replaced with superstitions.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Your way of
Wow.
thinking,
Yeah, there you go. Speak on it,
reasoning,
Jackie.
your way of reasoning now is replaced by, well, I'm doing this way, and this way might be wrong because this is the way my mother did it, and my mother said it's right. You know,
Oh my God.
so
That's the black
I
community all
think we
day.
are, you know, I know that the education system in this country, it is based on trivium, and that's a way of teaching. I think it came out like in, I think maybe like the 14 or 1500s, you know, so we are taught reasoning, logic, and rhetoric. But like I said, when you get home and you get around your friends and all of that stuff is out the window. And now you operate based on faith, which is that religion, and superstition based on what your parents did because they ain't know no better, and peer pressure.
And
And
common
Yeah.
sense. And
Yeah.
common sense too. Like
and yeah, this
that's a bad thing too.
yeah, this follows
But I
you
was
into
always that
adulthood.
kid.
And
I
it
was
follows you
always
so
that
much
weird
where
kid.
you forget these things that you learned in school, these basic things and principles. Like I hear people talk about, well, I ain't learned how to fill out a checkbook in school. I ain't learned how to do taxes in school. I'll be like, man, we learned that shit in fifth and sixth grade.
Most of the things we talk about on this
Yeah, I
panel
learned
and
that.
on this
Yeah,
channel, we learned in high school.
yeah, I learned how to fill
Absolutely.
out a W
Yeah.
two form, and the school I went to, McCool, it was mandatory for us to take it's called what's the school called? Financial aid class. You learn like, you know what I'm saying, like how to fill out taxes, what a mortgage look like, and all that type of stuff. How to look for. You had to do like it was our task to look for like how to different steps of buying a home and all that shit.
Yeah, we took basic biology. You know what DNA
Mhm.
is, right? We know what
Yeah,
physical science is, right?
yeah.
We learned all
And we
these
just have to
things
take the
in
civic
our
test. They don't even
basic
take the civic test no
yeah,
more.
exactly, right? We learned all these
Mm.
basic things, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, dissecting
right.
a frog, we dissected a cat. Like, so, like, I mean, we learned about what a body plan is. Like, you know, I
European
do.
education
I
is
remember
a
a
little
lot
bit
of
different.
things that come up in these conversations. A lot of things that come up in these conversations that we should know. Like, it's shocking to me, and It's like, man, like the education system is not doing what it's supposed to do. But it's not.
You know
that,
what? One of the
though.
weirdest things, I'm
Go
sorry to
ahead.
cut you off,
Go ahead.
is
Go ahead.
that you know what? When you graduate from, I guess, from one grade to another in public school, you know, they give you a textbook right at the beginning of the year, and they're like, give that back. You know, it's like, no, it's like you should allow these kids to build them a library of books that they've built their education on. We
Wow.
can't,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, we're doing all this stuff on loaner, you know. It's like, do you really think it's like in terms of like the better schools, and no, they don't do that. It's like, okay, well, you bring your textbooks, you buy them, you bring them, and then these are yours. You keep that
Yeah.
as a library. Even like some of my early college courses that I took, right, when I was basically I was broke, right. I had to sell some of my books back, but I didn't have any money, and I regret that
Right.
to this day. You know, it's like I wish I had that book, because I think, you know, we was talking about some philosophy stuff with Amber, and we was over on Bias's channel, and it was like, man, I wish I had that book. It was like I sold that book back because I was broke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know, that's the thing. That's what ends up happening, right? It's like the kids don't get a chance to build a sound library. I'm glad, you know, in terms of my parents, we had encyclopedias. This was like way back in the day. You know, we had Google was your World Book Encyclopedia volumes, right?
Right.
And what it was, like the ebony, our black, I guess we just say our black history was the ebony volume of black history. This is way back in the days, right? So we all had that on the shelf, and we had these things, right? But you know, yeah, you got to give the kids the tools, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say
Yeah.
something about that?
Parent.
Can I talk about that?
Peace, Montoya. Peace.
Montoya, what's going on? I saw you come in. I forgot you came in and everything. My
Oh,
bad, brother.
But no, ain't no stress. I just a couple things that it's just a perspective, because I'm big into education or whatever. But a couple things, like even the idea that was just suggested, it's just keeping it honest, is we forget about that the teachers pay, or the idea of giving away the books. It's just no budget for it, unless we as the American people, to a degree, were willing to be taxed higher to pay those higher salaries. Because unlike other industries, it's not a capitalistic money's made. That's why, private schools can pay more, because they're in a different situation. So yeah, like the school system doesn't want to do loaner books. They just do it to make it public education affordable for the public. That's just the reality. Yeah, they would gladly give away the books because the book companies want the money as well. But it ain't that simple when they're doing it out of taxpayer dollars.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think that's what we're
Great
saying.
point.
The teachers encourage you to take notes.
Hold on, Jackie. One second. I think that's what we were saying too, Montoya, because I hear that, and that's what at least what I'm saying. Like, yo, like we voting for these politicians, right? And they give the tax breaks, right? Like, this is our money that they making these decisions with, right? So they give the tax breaks to the people. They give, what a government subsidy is. That's welfare, right? So they give welfare to people like Mark Zuckerberg and these billionaires and trillionaires. You know what I'm saying? Like, they get the tax cut, the permanent tax cuts, right? When they should be paying, and like Mark Zuckerberg for the third year in a row is about to pay not $20, not $5, not 50 cents. He's about to pay $0 goddamn dollars in taxes, bro. 0, right? He's supposed to be at least paying 30%, at least 28%. I mean, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to rob the nigga, but goddamn, bro, you're a part of society. Like, you use the infrastructure to make that money. You know what I'm saying? That the society. Hold on, Montoya. That the rest of the society have put their money up to build, and you're using that infrastructure to build your empire with, and you ain't even, and fine, okay, you producing some jobs, fine, that's all good, right? But like, yo, you're not paying your fair share, and we vote these politicians in, us people here on this panel, us taxpayers, right? Us American worker, the American working man, we vote these politicians in, right? And they are the ones who directly neglect that school system. And we can't afford to pay that teacher. Like I said, like the truck driver now that's making 90,000, right? He should have been making 90,000 as a preschool teacher.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, after
but go ahead.
Can I make a suggestion? Can I make a suggestion? I don't know if there's a brother that's teach the younger kids to learn. He's still learning. Corey?
Yeah, he's still on.
Hey man, what's up with it? What's up with y'all? Yeah, my daughters, bro, they 2 years old. I remember I heard you earlier, Corey. You said you struggled, teaching your daughters or kids at an early age, like how to know ABCs and color stuff like that, bro. You know what I'm saying? I suggest Akili and Me, bro. It's a Tanzanian cartoon that teaches like kids numbers, ABCs, even how to fucking sing in Swahili, like in counting Swahili. Like my daughter, they 2 years old, bro. They can count to 10 in Swahili, bro, and they know their numbers up to them.
I'm already on it, bro.
Yeah, up to 50. They know every, bro. My daughters know every color, bro. Like you point to it, they know the color. Like even my sister, like we had went home to St. Louis for the holiday. My sister was just like testing one of my daughter's brain. She pointed to her sock. She's like, "What color is that?" And her sock was multiple colors. She's like, "Rainbow." Like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like it's dope. It's I think it's originally was made for Tanzanian kids to speak English, you know what I'm saying? But it get broadened, it's now it's like kind of for everybody now. It's like it's on the Ubongo network, and it's Akili and Me for the younger kids, and they got the Ubogo. It's like Ubogo for the older, like probably like 5, 6-year-old, 5-year-olds. And it's another one too, a Nigerian-based program called Omoberry. You know what I'm saying? And that one was really educational and dope. Like, cause at first, a lot of these kids watching that cocoa melon bullshit. Like, man, I said my daughter ain't even be watching this. I'm gonna some black shit. You know what I'm saying? That shit end up being super educational, bro.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to follow up and say about the textbook thing, that of course we can't keep the textbooks, and I mean those textbooks were sanctioned by the Daughters of the Confederate anyway. A lot of the stuff in there, you probably don't want to keep anyway. But I just wanted to stress the fact that the teachers do, good teachers, let me say it like that, they do encourage the students to take notes, and those notes are, substitutes for those books that they don't have. Nobody tells you to throw your notebooks in the garbage. You know what I mean? So, after that grade go by, you still got that notebook. If you took good notes and, after when you're going through something in the science book or in the social studies book, the English book, at the end of these chapters, you have questions, and you have to take like a little quiz or whatever. We were encouraged to write those questions down and answer them. Sometimes we had to write them down 5 times and answer them, stuff like that. So those notebooks, if the children are instructed to take good notes, and these are things that have to be followed up by parents, at the end of the day. You got to make sure your child is doing their homework, and you got to make sure that your child is getting something out of that grade and from that teacher and from that school and from that school board. Anybody can go and protest the school board, and I mean these are people that you vote for, the people on the school board. A lot of times you voting for the school superintendent and stuff like that. So these ain't things that, the government just put this in place and you don't have no choice. A lot of times you do have a choice in who's leading these people and who's putting these people in place and making sure that they are following through with the education that you think your child should receive. And one last thing I wanted to say, I don't know if anybody ever noticed this or not. And right now, for some reason, probably because I want to talk about it, I cannot think of the number one name of this. It's like it was like a tutoring guide or something like that. Not like a guide as far as a book, but instruction where they provided like teachers and stuff like that. But these commercials used to be on TV all the time before the pandemic, where you can get your children extra instructions and stuff like that. I want to say one was called A+ Learning or something like that, but it was at least 3 of them that used to be on TV all the time before the pandemic. I have not seen one of those commercials since this pandemic started. You know, and a lot of times parents, you know, they younger and they coming from different things. Like I said, once you leave school, and I mean like leave school for the day, and I ain't talking about leave school after you even got a high school diploma. A lot of that stuff you learn be out the window and replaced by peer pressure, superstition, and, you know, stuff like that. You know, you have to make sure that you ain't sending your children to school with fly clothes if they can't read. You probably need to send them to school in some damn Goodwill clothes and spend that money you spent on clothes on a damn tutor. That's another thing. A lot of people, they learning now that they ain't as school smart as they thought they were, you know, and that leads back to like the original conversation with people misleading people as far as these anti-vaxxers. You know, you're not doing nothing. You in the office picking up the garbage. You ain't even smart enough to be, you know, a secretary. But now all of a sudden you're an expert in deciphering information from a doctor when it comes to a pandemic and a vaccine. A lot of these anti-vaxxers, they don't go to the doctor. You know, they got a superstition where they think the doctor trying to kill them. You know what I mean? By the time they go to the doctor, it's way too late to help you with anything. Think about all of the young people that die from like breast cancer, ovarian cancer. What's that cancer that men get? Like a rectum cancer,
prostate cancer.
Prostate cancer. I said rectum cancer.
And
I think it's
testicular cancer.
You know what I mean? And I noticed that a lot of them anti-vaxxers, they don't go to the doctor. So when it comes to, you know, you should get the vaccine because you have an underlying condition. And if you didn't, you're not going to come out successful like this person that's perfectly healthy. Yeah, this person, he's perfectly healthy and he got COVID and ain't nothing happened to him. And he's around telling people, you don't need a vaccine. You telling people that got diabetes, hypertension, they overweight, they don't know that they got a lump in their breast. You telling these people that they can fight a vaccine, fight a pandemic without a vaccine, and they don't even know that they got underlying conditions. Some people be coughing up blood and refuse to see a damn doctor. I got a coworker where her husband was passing out, falling. He can't walk, and he losing blood. I would like to know where he was losing all his blood from. Matter of fact, she never told me. But anyway, he's losing blood and all of this shit, and he won't go to the damn doctor. Now, imagine if he would have got COVID, you know, just from their daughter that go to high school and she still want to participate in cheerleading and hotel parties and all of this stuff. This man could have died. He only went to the doctor because he passed out, you know, and they giving him transfusions and all kinds of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, this your husband and you letting him bleed like this and all of that. Why you ain't force that man to go to the damn doctor sooner?
You can't make a grown man do what he don't want to do. That's one thing
I
you can't do.
If you my husband,
my wife, she in the medical field, Jackie.
Depend on you. If you my husband and we depend on you, it's gonna be some serious conversation. And we get in the car and we driving. Where we going? We going to lunch. Hell no, we pulling up to the damn emergency room and your ass about to get checked out because we love you and we depend on you. And it's not all about you. You got a family. So that's all I want to say.
And I hear you 100%, Jackie, because like I say, my wife is in the medical field and like, she got to fight with me. You know what I'm saying? Well, you need to go get checked out. I complain about these aches and pains, like I say, I'm in the construction business. So I complain about aches and pains and this and that, but I just don't want to go to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got time. I got this to do. I got to run my own business. I'm the boss at work, so I just don't
But it's one
have
thing
time.
to put it off because you don't have time. It's a whole nother thing to know you got these aches and pains and that you really need to go, but you got this superstition because you think you ain't read now one damn medical paper, or you don't know nothing about this person's condition, but you don't want to go to the doctor because your cousin said that her boyfriend went to this doctor and they killed them. This is how people in our community think. They don't even know the people they talking about who went through the shit. Good example is Nicki Minaj. Her cousin boyfriend. You know what I mean? Do you even know your cousin boyfriend? Do you know his name? Do you know his medical history? You don't know none of that. You not going to the doctor because of something you think happened to somebody else that you think and they told you. So now all of a sudden you ain't gonna go. Like this is what I'm talking about as far as like when you leave school, all that shit, all of that rhetoric and reasoning and learning that you are taught in school how to make a decision goes out the window and is replaced by superstition and peer pressure. You have people in the cipher, like when I'm growing up, how the government out to get you and all of this stuff like that. Why they got to do something like this to be out to get you? You think about all of these people that sat on their ass for the last couple of months getting money from the government. They ain't say, well, I ain't taking this money because it's a setup. The government out to get me. No, all of a sudden, the government good.
That's a good
government
point.
Good now.
Yeah, that's a hell of a point, and I've never heard anybody make that fucking point.
Man,
you don't know
that
how to
was
grow
the most killerest point you made.
Like you in the damn grocery store and you skip right past the damn vegetable aisle and you in the damn frozen food aisle buying food, talking about the government out to get you. What about all this?
The white man made you do that. The white man made you buy all them pizza pockets.
Food.
Man, I be manipulating that government, boy. Shoot.
Hey, it's like your government. It's our government.
You damn right. You better use.
We gonna use that motherfucker.
Shit.
You know what I'm saying?
Shoot. Hey, look. To the government. Shoot, my wife is single. We get food stamps. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, whatever you can do. Like, I mean, I ain't. Like I said, everybody got to make it out here, bro. Everybody got to make it out here.
Man, I know people.
Why they give you WIC? If they out to get you, why they giving you WIC? You got and impregnate yourself, and you can't even afford to be healthy.
Man, I know people that
you need to put in your body to be healthy, but all of a sudden they out to get you.
Man, I know people that passed up their opportunity with the last people because they thought the government. They could have got it legit. Like they could have got it legit. And they passed up on it. They're like, yeah, I said, you stupid motherfucker. That's crazy.
You got people on Section 8 talking about the government out to get you. Get them. The government can leave you. They can leave you homeless. It's like a conflict of interest. So some stuff to me, it don't make logical sense. And it seems like the people that think the government is out to get them are the people that take the most from the government. You know what I mean? You taking the most from them. You taking the tax breaks. You taking the free food. You taking the free health care. You taking the free housing. You taking all of
people. These people don't even file their taxes because they scared. Like and then when they finally do file their taxes, you gonna get that penalty because you tripping. You need to file every year. I get mine every year. Fuck that. Getting all my money.
Yeah.
They looking for that earned income credit. The government out to get you.
I filed taxes, by the way. If you guys looking for a preparer, me and my wife.
This time of year, I kind of get an attitude. You know what I'm saying? Because
I'm pissed.
I realize, I always realize, and me and the government, we both realize at the same time that I made more money than I was supposed to make.
we're at odds right now, Corey.
Yeah, man, too much damn money.
Hey, I'm thinking about it's like we giving away Christmas gift and exchanging gifts, and I'm thinking about the beginning of the year. It's like, okay, well, yeah,
Yeah, I
tax
always
season
get
is
an
coming.
attitude. I got an attitude around
I'm
this time,
pissed.
dude. Like
You don't claim your kids.
That's not
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
help him,
yeah.
Corey. Yeah, Corey, that's not gonna help him.
That wasn't even
Earned income
yeah,
credit when you're
right.
claiming your kids. The only time you get an earned income credit is when you claiming kids. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And that to me, that's unfair too. Why should I have to pay for your kids? I'm already paying for your school.
I don't think you can even do that at a certain tax bracket, can you?
And a certain tax bracket, it don't matter no more. You
No,
know,
yeah,
it don't
you
even. I
can't
mean,
even
you
do
get
it.
it, but
High
it
that
don't
tax
matter.
But
bracket
it's
is. A lot
gonna
of black
knock it
people
out.
is not
Yeah.
meeting
Yeah.
that. This is over
It's gonna knock that out.
$100,000 that you're talking about.
I
You know,
think
it's
this
not
one
When you
go
say
this
black,
year. This year it's gonna be better though. I might
yeah.
get back this year. I don't know because they saying because my wife's friend was just saying something to her about it, and so and she had a smile on her face. So I think that means good news. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yes.
It's a
I'm
little
telling,
something.
bro.
yeah,
I ain't
Little
got a
something.
refund check.
she
So what?
she
Well,
in
at
charge
least
of doing that though.
my,
The
my my
taxes and
big
all that.
thing is
I'm
like,
out there.
okay, if you break even, Corey, if you
Yeah.
happen to break even, dude, that's a smile on your face, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got a
and you
young
know,
kid.
on
You got a
average,
young kid,
I'm
so you
paying
get a lot.
$700. I'm paying
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
$700
breaking
to
even.
like
Oh yeah,
12
yeah,
to $700
yeah. You're
a
breaking
year in
even.
taxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
So
supposed to
hopefully
pay
I break
too, and I
even.
don't think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
I really don't think it's
I'm
fair.
doing.
I
I'm
shouldn't have to pay.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, bring
I'm
Bush back. I love
yeah,
Bush.
yeah.
That was the
It's
last
like,
time I
yo,
got a
like,
refund check.
and then it's like, yo, like the shit when you look at the deductions from the payroll, right? And it's like, yo, man, like y'all didn't get enough. Y'all thought y'all
There
did.
really aren't any deductions. Really, like for really, all the deductions are really for like business owners, right?
Mhm.
If you're just a regular income earning individual, right? If like at a certain tax bracket, you're not gonna be able to really make any deductions that's gonna make a difference, right?
Oh
So
yeah, right. Mhm.
because like I said, because it's just structured that way. And I think somebody said
And
this
it's not
earlier,
fair.
right? I think somebody said that earlier. It's like, hey, Mark, who is it? Mark Zuckerberg. They said that he was gonna
Yeah.
pay. I think it was you, Corey. You said he was gonna pay $20 or $0
He's gonna
in
pay zero. He
taxes.
wasn't even gonna pay 20. He's gonna pay
Yeah,
zero for the
yeah,
third year in a
because
row.
he takes zero income. He doesn't make income. You know, but when you don't take an income, you don't pay taxes on your income, right? He
So he found
basically
a loophole. Yeah, go
exactly.
ahead.
He represents himself as a corporation, right? And that's the
Mhm.
thing. It's like at this point, like people there, I think the issue is that you have individuals tying themselves to corporations and getting around the tax issue, right?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't think that really originally wasn't the intent of having low tax rates for companies, right? And that's what's
Mhm.
happening, right? In
No,
Yeah,
it
they're
actually
abusing it.
corporate owners are tying themselves to these corporations, right?
no,
So
it is the intent. It is the intent because at the end of the day, 10% of the country creates the majority of the jobs outside of the jobs that the government creates. And so the intent is to incentivize them creating the jobs. So yeah, it's always been intended for that. You know what I'm saying? Mark Zuckerberg, they have 58,000 employees. So it's definitely incentivized, create a company to where you can pay 58,000 people. We'll take the taxes from them and we'll hook you up because you
But
created.
I
no,
don't
no,
I don't see
that
that. I
wasn't the
don't see
intent
that
because
as a virtue. Like
the tax code wasn't like that because they
yeah.
lobbied to get the tax code the way it is. That's the
Right.
thing.
But
It's
the
like
lobby
it's
It's
not
the
that
lobbyists.
it's not that the government just volunteered to say, hey, here's how we want it to be.
I
No,
didn't say that at all. The
it
business class create
evolved that way because the
business
business
class.
lobby pushed it to happen this way, right?
And
This is
so
where
what
we
happened?
are. So it wasn't like the intent of it.
So hold on.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
There is no government that just up and did it. The business class writes the laws. That's what the business class has always written the
Pretty
laws.
much. You're right. I agree with that.
All of these laws
So
have
since
to be
they're writing
brought
the
to.
laws, it is the intent.
But we all watched Schoolhouse
I know.
Rock
I disagree
growing
with
up.
that.
They just don't put a damn
So
law
you can
in
disagree, but that's who writes the
the way
laws. Like,
to do
like
that.
if one of us were to
Gotta
run
write a
for Congress,
bill.
Not so to speak, but they lobbyists go and tell the law writers, right, what the laws need to be, or what laws are going to affect them in which way, and which way they need to vote on what bill. So it's those lobbyists, and you know what I'm saying. So it's
right.
that way.
The lobbyist is paid. The lobbyist is who gives them the money, the business class. So so like if one of us, let's say one of us runs for Senate, right? And so we're new to Senate. We're gonna end up voting for a bunch of bills. We won't have a clue what's in it. We'll have people on our staff that are supposed to read what's in it or whatever. But the people that wrote the laws are from the business class. And so you're just told by constituents who give you money which way to vote. It's that simple, and the business class writes the laws. That's how the country's been from the very beginning.
They write a bill. The bill got to go to the Senate and all of that stuff and get approved. And it just they just don't write a law.
Okay, so
we talking, like I said, man, a lot of this stuff we learned when we were very young children. Everybody's seen this shit on Schoolhouse Rock, how a damn bill becomes a law.
So, right.
So it don't happen just like that.
When you actually find out who's behind writing it. I'm
talking about. Yeah. When you
it comes a law when it's voted on and it's approved.
When you figure out why the lobbyists spend so much money.
Here's the constituents of these people that vote for this. We as the constituents have to hold these people accountable for things that they vote on or put in place that we do not agree with. The same like I was saying with the superintendent of schools and stuff like that. You know, we have to be more involved.
But it's a little different with this.
Can I just add a bit of clarity?
1 second, y'all. 1 second, because I want to highlight something. It's a little different with the superintendent because the superintendent at school don't have access to legalized bribery, right? And so when we're talking about
the lobbyists were never intended to have the power that they have today. That's why it's such a contentious
the only
issue.
thing I was saying about the superintendent
that's why it's so contentious, right? If you
that's
always say
a position that people vote for.
When you look at the news, they always say, "Hey, how do we reduce the influence of lobbyists in Congress? How do we get them out of the bill making or either the budgetary situations, right? Because that's what happens here in Washington." Right.
Well, because and you got people like Nancy Pelosi, who does insider trading too, right? So you got to consider that too, right? So they have knowledge about the stock market that we are not privy to, at least not in the timely manner that they are, right? They know what legislation, what's going to be in these bills, and which way this legislation is going to push the market, right? And when they saw you saw how Nancy Pelosi and them took their money out when the pandemic hit, or where they did some funny business with their money and shit when the pandemic hit, because they had prior knowledge.
They shouldn't even, if you're holding public office, I don't think you should be allowed to trade publicly like that.
Right.
Because it just opens up issues. It just opens up issues. And like you say, you know, in terms of
that's something that's being pushed right now is they're pushing them no longer being able to do that. But
it's never going. It's not going to happen though. It's not going to, because the Democrats or the Republicans don't want that.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. It could be against their own interests, you know.
Right.
And in terms of like who runs the country, right? You can always know the bureaucrats run the country. People who run the country, they're not elected, right? These are lifelong bureaucrats running these agencies, running these. I've been in Washington long enough to see them, right? So, you know, all of that, Congress essentially runs the budget. Whoever can influence Congress to steer the budget, that's what happens, right?
That's
So,
the bottom line, right?
yeah,
That's the
exactly.
simplest
That's what
way to put
happens.
it, Brandon. Yeah, that's the simplest way to put it right there.
Because
You know,
everybody comes to
Think about
Congress for
stop
money,
Asian hate.
right?
How a bill get passed so fast on stop Asian hate? You think
Yeah.
it wasn't the constituents? It wasn't those Asian people? These regular people that go and vote to put these people in office?
If that congressperson was up for re-election, yeah, the constituency probably had a lot to do with it, right?
They
But
always up for re-election, Corey.
not
They always up for re-election.
not that year, right? So sometimes, you know, they don't campaign as hard, or you know, they don't do as much as. Let me tell you something about Indiana, right? So Indiana is a right to work state, right? But when we wasn't always that way. You know, like 7 years ago, we was not a right to work state. Do you know every union member in Kentucky and in Indiana was downtown Indianapolis? It was like 7 million people downtown Indianapolis protesting, telling our representatives that we did not want to be a right to work state. Guess what Indiana is today? A right to work state, because of the lobbyists who wanted the union busting lobbyists who want to control the conditions of the workplace. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
And the lobbyists, right.
Well, think about this.
It didn't matter that they had petitions with 7 million people down there screaming and hollering at them, telling them, yo, y'all work for us, y'all represent us, and we don't want this. They did what we didn't want them to do, because
corporate interest who pays to put
and
them
that's
in
why I
office.
say the system was never intended to work this way.
Well, look at this. Look at Georgia. I live in Georgia now.
That, like, tell me what your basis is, because like, where are you getting that from? When the business class has pretty much always run the American system. So where are you getting that? No, I'm saying, but where are you
Well,
getting?
Here in Georgia, we now have, which we were a red state, and now they think it's like turning blue. We now have 2 elected senators that are Democrats, and before this happened, you had Stacey Abrams pushing you know, the
I love Stacey Abrams. I love her
and stuff like that. And think about our 2 senators before that. They both got busted for insider trading. They both got busted. You know, these people were not about to go to the polls and vote for these people that are crooked. Even if they was, what they
no, they studied voting for Mitch McConnell. They studied like Mitch McConnell is never going to get voted out of Kentucky. Kentucky, the teachers in Kentucky, the working conditions in Kentucky are the worst. Mitch McConnell have single-handedly brought that whole state down. They're going to continue to vote it's no end in sight for Mitch McConnell. He's the majority leader, like the Republican leader. He's actually the Republicans has the minority in the House, but he's the minority leader. But when they had the majority, he was the Republican majority leader. So people vote against their own interests all the time. It's because the lobbyists know how to market. They do things like name that bill that I just talked about. It was called the right to work. Don't that sound good? Like, to an average person
I need the
on
right
the
to
street.
work. I would love the right to work, right?
Why wouldn't you vote for that? Like, why wouldn't you want that to go through? Like, it's right to work. Like, and then, but the thing is, we don't actually read what it is. You know what I'm saying? And they depend on that. They depend.
You don't get those details in the pamphlet that Mitch McConnell hands out, right?
Absolutely.
You don't get those details.
Well, Corey, I'm just saying the example you gave is proof of how our system has always worked. And from the very beginning, the system, you know, the original people that could vote were land owners, business owners. The laws have always been created by the business class from the very beginning. So I don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And men. Don't forget that.
it
And men, because they didn't think women were smart enough.
And men, definitely. And men. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah. But like I said, it's easy to get the masses to vote against their own interests, though, right? It's very easy to do that.
Smart enough, they just exclusively wanted the rights left to those who quote unquote owned land. That's all they cared about.
I mean, because you got people in Texas, right, that vote for Donald Trump. This nigga up here talking about, well, it's the Mexicans, and it's the Mexicans' fault. And it's like, bro, you got farmers in Texas like that's voting for them to put the gate up, bro. Like, bro, you're not gonna go get no white boys to go pick them fucking watermelons out the field for $3 an hour. Like, what the fuck? Like, people vote against their own interests all the time. Like, they screaming. You know, you got these people screaming, well, the Mexicans is coming in and they taking your jobs. And they now saying like, yo, they going to do the 3 million jobs that you black niggas and you white hunkies refuse to fucking do. Like, it's 3 million jobs in the United States that black people and white people are not gonna do for no amount of money. They just refuse to do it. You know, it's too nasty, it's too dirty. But guess what? Them motherfuckers across the border gonna go do that job. And guess what? We as American citizens need them to do that job. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need that job done. You know, like, we need the bathrooms on the toll roads to be clean, bro. Like, when you're taking your family on a trip, like, you don't see black people in the toll road bathrooms cleaning the bathrooms, bro. You see Mexicans in there doing that. But we vote against our own interests all the time because the lobbyists and the corporations have the money to market. Go ahead.
And wait a minute, and superstition, because for some reason black people think Democrats can always help them and Republicans are against them.
That too. Yeah.
I'm just saying, at the end of the day, we're at the mercy of the business class. And your example of 7 million people showing up voting for their interests still did not win.
Yeah.
So voting, like if all you're doing is voting, we are definitely, and again, myself included,
mm-hmm.
you are on the small end of influence, and the country was started that way, and it still works that way.
And so that's why, and you know what? And you know what these corporations they build these super PACs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's what we can do. We got to put our money together, though. Like, I got to be able to say, Montoya, you know, it's going to be, midterms coming up. How much you putting on here? And you're supposed to be saying, I got 1,000. And that's supposed to be the talk of the town. Like, instead of getting ready, instead of me conversating with you, Montoya, about how much you're going to spend on your grandkids and your kids on Christmas, right? And you're proud to tell me how, you're going to get the Power Wheels and the train set, and all this is adding up. And by the time you're done telling me, right, all the things you're going to do for the Christmas thing, right, you didn't talk to me about $2,500.
Yeah, how does that work with the super PAC? Because I remember that this is like a big point of contention, right?
Yeah.
So it was like a limitation in terms of the amount of campaign contributions, right?
Right.
But if you create a super PAC, it could excel that, right?
Right. So I'm totally against super PACs. It's called Citizens United. It's a bill that allows corporations to basically give any amount. So there's campaign limitations on what you or I could give. Let's say we're super wealthy or whatever. There is a limit on what we can give. But using the Mark Zuckerberg example, for example, because they tie themselves to a corporation, there is no limit to what the corporations give.
Right.
I'm totally against Citizens United because again, the business class has always ran it. But because Citizen United was passed, which allows those the corporations don't have the limit, it gives even more influence by the business class. The country has always been ran by the business class, but now they have
stick with that line, ain't you?
They have too much
Yeah.
influence, and that's probably why.
Hey, but see,
who
Montoya,
sent you?
hold on real quick though. Montoya, the black community is already a super PAC though.
Put brother Reggie the link in. He's asking for the link.
Oh,
He wants to join
my
in
bad.
the conversation.
Jackie, where Jackie at? Can you throw that link in there for me, Jackie? I can't see the thing right now.
Peace, brother Reggie.
Argument. A similar argument.
No, I'm not finna argue though. I'm not.
No.
Throw it out there. I'm just throwing it out there, just for the audience.
What I'm saying is, you're actually right about it to a degree.
Right, but I was gonna say the black community already doing it for free. Like we a super PAC for free already though. But go ahead, Montoya.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of our community becoming political independence, because we would have influence on close elections, and because of this, our history in the country. You're absolutely right, Corey. We should be having those dialogues about what kind of money we're putting up, and we definitely should learn to do it at least locally, because that's where politics really takes effect. But here's, the unfortunate reality due to our history in this country. I get that psychologically, we're not going to put up a lot of money into politics because we don't trust it. I hate that, but that's a reality, and I accept that reality. However, if we could become political independents, we still would have a lot of sway, because what happens is we're still the second largest voting block, to whites, if you will. We're third in population, but we're the second. Now, unfortunately, with the way things are going, in probably about 10 to 15 years, we will actually move to the third voting block, and at that point, we won't get no crumbs from politics. But at the end of the day, Citizen United, there's definitely a big group that's still trying to break down the Citizen United bill that allows for those super PACs. I do definitely hope that passes, because that just allows our voting system to come back to the people to a degree. And I'm talking about all people, not just black people. It's a very necessary thing, because the business class can do what you saw happen in your state. I didn't know about those 7 million people showed up, but you saw it was all for naught because of the influence of the business class.
7 million or 7,000?
I don't know. I'm just saying what Corey
said.
It
was 7 million, I believe. I don't know. That's what they said. It looked like it. I swear to God, it was downtown Indianapolis. I swear to God, like shoulder to shoulder forever.
And brother Montoya, you guys may not be tapping into your entire donor base either. This is the first I've heard of it. Send me your contact information. I'm happy to donate, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And if it really was 7 million people there, how many of them 7 million people had the right to vote?
Well, this was, listen, I don't know if the numbers was right. The thing was, we was on the front porch. You had at least 2 million. Let's say it wasn't that million.
It probably wasn't that million. I mean, forget the million. The million doesn't matter. And the reason I say it probably wasn't that, because you got to keep it in mind. The March on Washington, will be 400,000 or 700,000, and that looks crazy. So I assume state capitals probably can't hold the same thing that the national, whatever you call it. But either way,
okay, so let me say this to Corey.
Your bigger point is the workers basically showed up with petitions, and his point is it didn't hold up.
That's what it was. It was 7 million signatures on the petition. Okay, that's what it was. There you go.
Oh, the brother's point.
But it was a lot of people there. Go ahead.
Yeah. His constituents did not want it, and they lost.
Right. You have this go on, and you'll have the senators the 2 senators that each state gets that puts in place, and they, have the right to do these things for the people, their constituents, right? So I think what a Senate office is 4 years. So let's say in his second or third year, he does something against his constituents. Shouldn't we bring that shit back up when it's time for re-election? We don't have to wait for in election year and only take into the account of what he did in the past 300 and something days. He should be held accountable for what he did for the whole 4 years.
Yeah, 6 years, by the way, just so you know.
That's what they
Okay,
should.
thank you.
That's
I
what it
wasn't
should
sure.
be.
So
That's
I
what
wasn't
should
sure
just-
how
happen.
many
I know,
But
I know,
that's
yeah.
never how it works, though. You know what I'm saying?
But I'm just
right
saying
now,
that that's
nobody's
why I understand
concerned
that
about
every year.
voting in the midterms. Like nobody
But
is concerned about the midterms. What we concerned about already is 2024. We're not concerned about the midterms right now.
Yeah,
We
so
concerned about the presidential race of 2024 right now. You see what
And
I'm
we-
saying?
yeah.
And we
for the
got
people,
we got young brothers in the chat talking about, hey,
and each
put
state
in
is a
some
government
term
by
limits.
itself.
What about the term limits?
Can I
To
can
try
I
to
talk
try
for a
to
few
try to
seconds?
limit some of this power in Washington
but
and
they
power in
have
politics,
it on
right?
senators and, well, you talk about term limits on how many times they can actually win. Okay, I got you. Not
Right.
this. Yeah, I got you. But to Corey's point, what happens is, as the people, we actually do it backwards. And it's easy because it's just because of marketing. So it's natural that people are more concerned with the national election every
What do you
4
mean
years.
backwards?
Yeah,
Can I
unfortunately,
talk for a few seconds?
let me say this real quick and I'll be done. The reason we do it backwards is the national election is the least that affects you. Locally is what affects you most.
Mhm.
About your local government locally, then your state, which is all the midterm stuff that Corey is talking about. So we actually do it backwards. We focus on the national election and it has the least effect on our lives.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Reggie.
Peace,
How you doing,
Reggie.
brother
Peace,
Reggie?
brother.
Let brother Reggie. He just joined us and he want to add his thoughts. Go ahead, brother Reggie.
Thank you so much, and peace, Corey, and peace to the
Peace,
family.
peace.
Can you all hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. So I've written a book. It's called the blackcityplan.com. You can go to the blackcityplan.com. And so let me give you my quick take, a summary of my the Black City Plan. The Black City Plan is based on how white groups of people rose to power, talking about specifically all white groups, but lately the Italians and the Irish and the Jews. They rose to power because of what the brother was saying before I got on, was we're doing it backwards. It's local politics. The key word to civilization, right? Or in civilization and civil is always cities. Cities is the factor that people don't really understand. City is the lifeblood of the nations. It is the one that delivers the taxes. It delivers the votes. City votes create congressmen. City votes create senators, and city votes also create local laws. So what happens in the city is that whoever controls the local laws, right, controls the lifeblood of that particular city, the economic city. All presidential elections, if you want to look at it that way, it always comes back down to cities. At the end of the day, they're looking at what the state votes are, but the state votes are comprised of big cities, right? Black folks live in these big cities. So black people in all of these big cities, because we help make the big cities function, we actually have more power than we know that we have. So now about the super PACs. Okay, so the Democrat, I'm not a Democrat, but I am a registered Republican. I'm not a Trump Republican. I'm a Republican in the sense that I know that we can take over the Republican parties in our cities, in our states. The Democrats, and we have to do that, is because we've given the Democrats a free ride, and the Democrats have had power in the United States. Roughly, they used us during the civil rights period. But the only right that we actually have is to go to court when we are disenfranchised. We have no other rights. So if someone takes your property, if someone discriminates against you, the only protection is is to go to court. That's the only protection that we have. And so it's incumbent on us to control our city laws, to create what you call city human rights laws. Now, when you create city human rights laws, then that has more power than your state and federal discrimination laws. But what we don't do is we don't control our cities. You control our cities, we create mayors, we create city councils, we create de facto reparations within our cities, in these big cities. And so when we're looking at super PACs, I wanted to get back to super PACs and I'll stop. What the Democrats did is that there is a core of white business owners and fluent politicians that are in charge of the Democratic super PACs. The super PACs are the people that have most control over the electoral politics. They have 2 votes to 1, if not 4 votes to 1. And so it's the super PACs that decide who the president is. Now, in the Democratic Party, do you know that super PAC members are not voted in? These people are super PAC members for the rest of their lives. So Hillary's a super PAC, Bill Clinton is a super PAC, and many rich white Democrats, racist Democrats, are super PACs, right? Now, the way you beat them, the way that you beat them is when you can, it doesn't matter if you control the city, because then you control the votes. We have social media. Social media is something that terrifies the Democrat, the whole Democratic, not the party, but the democratic process of the United States, because now we don't have to run TV commercials. Stacey Abrams is that woman. She is trying to tell Black people how, just because what she's doing in Georgia, she's doing for the nation, but Black people are not paying attention to the power that this woman is telling us about. So her and these Black women, not Black men. Black men are suckers. We suck the toes of white Democrats, right? This Black woman is teaching Black women who run households, who run their children. Children are the newest Black voters, right? To control the votes. Then everybody has to come back to us and make a deal. We don't understand our power. I think people should read the Black City Plan. The Black City Plan is better than any plan of the Nation of Islam, any plan of the so-called Moors. The Hebrews is not even a part of this thing. The fact of the matter is controlling your local politics. For Hebrews, Moors, Christians, their whole thing is we got to be a Moor first before we can control anything. So that doesn't work.
Yeah, and that's all good points, and I like the way, because you touched on a lot of different things. You touched on one thing where Stacey Abrams, Stacey Abrams, God, is that so, like? And speaking of Stacey Abrams, it's Black History Month. You know what I don't like about Black History Month? We only celebrate those who dead. You know what I mean? Like, in order to be celebrated in Black History Month, you got to be dead. Stacey Abrams, we got real people doing real things. People like sisters like Cori Bush. You know, these are trailblazers. These women who are being considered to be on the Supreme Court. God, I can't think of the sister's name right now. One of them is my favorite. I think it's like 3 of them that they looking at, but the one I really like her, and her name slips my mind right now.
Yeah, we can look her. We can look.
Yeah, it's 3 that Biden. It's 3 Black women that Biden about to put in. The one light-skinned sister, she wear glasses.
Yeah,
I can't think of her name, but
he has over the years. He has actually over the years sidelined her. Just being a Democrat. He has to come now to the table because Kamala Kamala Harris is one of those black women we thought that would be helpful to us, but she just ended up being a colored, just a colored.
She ain't even there. She ain't
She
even
ain't
there.
even
You know what I
black,
mean?
man. I'll consider her black.
She's colored, right?
And, but even that though, even that though, Jackie, she ain't even there. Like, what does she do? You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Like,
She put a lot of black men in jail behind all of those laws that Biden introduced back.
her and Joe Biden both. Yep.
Ask Reggie a question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I want to know, what do you think about Yvette Carnell and her pushing down voting? And before you answer, I just want to say that I think that down voting is something that Black people actually really need to look into and educate themselves on what's happening in their cities and in their neighborhoods, and what's happening to them as far as the laws are concerned and what benefits they get out of their communities when it comes to the representatives that are speaking for them. And I in my opinion,
Well, why don't you tell the
I
people
totally
what-
agree
what-
with
And then I
Alpha.
got a question after that for
So
Brendan,
why don't you just
Montoya,
tell the people-
and Reggie after that, after you get done answering that. Go
Why
ahead.
don't you just tell the people real quick what you think downvoting is?
Well, in my opinion, what I think downvoting is paying more attention to your local politics and being more concerned with your local politics than thinking that you need to show up every year to vote for a president. I mean, it's short. I'm trying to keep it short, but to me, that's what downvoting is. The what the president is doing on a federal level and him doing stuff like that is the least of the concerns of you when it comes to the benefits and things that you're going to get when it comes to your local politics. I mean, things like keeping the library open, just simple stuff like that. So to me, that's what is represented by downvoting, paying attention to who your mayor is, who your local representatives are. I spoke about senators, but we have representatives too that represent every district that we live in. And we need to hold these people accountable for what they promise us when it's time for us to vote for them, instead of just giving them a vote because they're a Democrat or because we see them on TV all the time campaigning. So that's
Okay.
what downvoting is to me. So
Okay,
if I'm
so-
wrong, let me know.
No, you're correct. But what she's doing is she's spinning a strategy. Her strategy is we'll let these people know that we're going to downvote, right? And
Right.
if you want us to vote for you, you need to come to us, right? So that has always been Yvette Carnell's strategy, and she wants to be instead of running for office, she wants to be the powerhouse. She wanted to be like a Stacey Abrams, but her strategy failed because what she tried to do is try to get all of the Democratic presidential candidates to pander to her to make a deal. That was the ADO strategy, but it failed because she herself was looking at presidential politics, right? So Yvette Carnell doesn't have really a plan for Black people. So I think that you should, the Black City Plan is a factive plan that whether people read my book or take any action, it's happened in New York. We have a Black mayor. We have a Black city council person. We have a Black lieutenant governor. We have two Black DAs in New York, right? And we have a Black man in charge of education, right? But niggas are still killing each other in the street, selling drugs, not knowing that the power is in our hands. Yvette Carnell is trying to push her platform, so she's basically trying to be a super lobbyist. I wouldn't. And then what she's doing
Wait,
is she's
let me back up 1 second. I'm not really asking about Yvette Carnell. I'm asking about the whole idea of us focusing more on downvoting and paying attention more to our local politics, not really her.
right.
I
So
only use her name because I heard it from her first.
no, I understand. And so what I was trying to say is let's get back to understanding how to run local politics. So in New York City, we've kind of figured it out. We're kind of late. Again, we have Black mayor, Black police chief, black educational chancellor, a black lieutenant governor, two black DAs, all local politics, quietly, following Stacey Abrams' plan. So rather than and so now we're actually, so local politics, focus on understanding local politics rather than, and then everybody will come to you, because in any presidential, congressional, Senate race, it comes down to the numbers, and the black people in these cities, we are masters of social media. We get pseudo killers gets more views than networks on a day, right? Sonetta gets more views. Our social media is the new voting machine, and they haven't figured it out yet. I'll stop. Thank you.
Thanks,
And
Reggie.
yeah, I wanted to ask you and Brandon and Jackie, pretty much everybody on the panel, like, and especially you, Reggie, like with the Black City program, how does gerrymandering affect? Because you brought up the fact that we have the power through those cities, like you got majority of black people living in those inner cities, right? And I agree totally with that. But with the gerrymandering, like, and I'm just trying to grasp this. So maybe Montoya or Brendan or Reggie could help me out with this, right? How does the gerrymandering affect that? Or do you think that would affect something like a Black City plan, like the way you're talking about, Reggie, taking advantage of being in that inner city and having that broader population, right? I think that's what the whole thing is, right? How would the gerrymandering affect that, though, bro?
Yeah, well,
Any of y'all.
Well, I can answer really quickly. Okay, so gerrymandering worked with traditional politics before social media, where basically you're actually using gerrymandering to elect a congressman or a senator. Usually senators, because senators, congressmen, because you get more congressmen per population, right?
And not to cut you off, Reggie, but they're using a word redistricting too. Now, is that the same word, or is that two different things there?
Yeah, so redistricting is how gerrymandering works, right?
Okay.
So, but now we are social media beings, right? So now we can live in we can actually live somewhere else and vote in a city, right? Because we can have 2 or 3 residences, right? Or we can influence voters, right, from different locations. So gerrymandering really is for congressional power. Congressional powers through districts, right? And so when you change the line of the district, you change what voting population is in. So the problem with that is that first it was white against blacks. Now the gerrymandering, the white folks are trying to seduce the Latin population. Usually when the Latins get in power, they usually act white or coalesce to white establishment. So then you have AOC, for example, in New York, and she has got nothing. She got a big goddamn mouth, but she's not underwritten one bill. She has no support, right? Instead of getting someone else in there, even a white person would be better than AOC, because she's not.
Go ahead, Reggie. I'm agreeing totally with that. Go ahead.
She's not even pushing out one goddamn bill. She's just a loudmouth that likes to show up, and she's using it for social media. And what happens is, when you're a congressman and a senator, basically a one-term congressman becomes a millionaire, and a senator is on their way to become a billionaire, right? So these people have AOC has used social media to get herself in. But it all goes back to gerrymandering is it works better, for example, in rural places like in the South, where they want to control southern cities, southern white cities, and create like a de facto kind of segregation, right? Meaning the white people in charge, they hire white police officers, sanitation, firemen, they hire everybody white, and that's the way they want to keep it. Now what's happening is, because of social media, if we have the right strategy, we can defeat gerrymandering, right? And we shouldn't be living in white communities and neighborhoods anyway. It doesn't work really well for us. So Georgia is beautiful because Georgia, you can move into black suburbs. So there's so many black suburbs in Georgia, and Georgia is Georgia, like the Sister Jackie was saying, was red. Now it's blue. We don't want it to be. We don't care if it's red nor blue. What we want is to be able to have some power. So so we don't care if it's red or blue. I don't care sometimes, because all black people in office is not good. All Latin people in office is not good. All white people in office is not good. We have to understand semblance of local politics. When you control your local politics, you control local laws. Local laws is what control. We live, eat, die, sleep, get educated, get married, have children, all in cities. Control your cities. Then we have and it doesn't mean in a black city just be black if you're not gonna put in jail black criminals, right? If you're gonna care about Janie's son, he's all right, but he just murdered somebody. No, a black murderer needs to get the black sentence because he's killing black people. Right? If a young dude is running around with guns, the nigga need to go to jail, because the gun is only for black people. It ain't for white people. So if you're a nigga and you got a gun, it's to harm black person. It may be to defend yourself, but for the most part, it's to harm another black person. And nigga, you need to go to jail. If you're selling drugs, nigga, you need to go to jail. We can't have our cake and eat it too. When and the outcome is girls, young girls are being prostituted, young dudes is getting murdered based on the color of not their skin, but the color of their t-shirt, right?
Hey man, I jump in to answer Corey's question, man, because be honest with you, Reg, man, much as I applaud you on the local politics part, but you have a lot of personal politics in this thing that ain't answering the question, man. I just got to keep it a buck with you, because unfortunately, when the Voting Rights Act got shot down, it definitely opened up gerrymandering. It affected Atlanta terribly. It affected North Carolina terribly. And so what happens is, because they didn't keep the Voting Rights Act in place, then gerrymandering can have a huge effect on politics, and it already happened. We witnessed it. Like if I were to show you,
so can you talk about give me the example, like you talked about the Georgia thing. Because I'm new to this part, Montoya. Okay.
Like, for example, if we were to, like, if I show you, like, if you were to go see in North Carolina, like in Charlotte, how they redrew the district. So they literally, like in Charlotte, the one that's in North Carolina in Charlotte is the worst one I've ever seen. They literally have a voting district so they redraw the line, and it looks like a circle, but the top of it looks like I'm trying to tell you how to say it, if you can imagine it. So imagine a circle, but the top of the circle has a big, like a one little string loop. Like instead of it closing, there's a loop that goes up and captures basically.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So what happened was, there was a little run when the housing market was good, and blacks were moving up right above Charlotte, like right above it. So they went and drew them and put them in the district so they could not influence the next district. Atlanta has a weird track like that. If you were to see Atlanta's line, you're like, why is this little line up in Atlanta? Because they definitely isolate Atlanta. For years they've isolated Atlanta or whatever. Obviously, thanks to the work of to Stacey Abrams, it's not necessarily a blue state. It's kind of considered purple, if you will, or whatever. That's kind of where she's gotten it to, or whatever. Because for years they had isolated Atlanta through gerrymandering, and it was easy to do once they shot the Voting Rights Act down. So gerrymandering can affect even the stuff that I'm suggesting, and definitely can affect the stuff that Reggie's suggesting. And I agree with a lot of the local stuff he's saying, but we would be naive to act like that Voting Rights Act getting shot down did not fuck us up, because we sit there and watch them do it for the last 8 years since it got shot down. They redrew the line to ensure the Black vote stayed in one district. They've done it all over the country.
And I'm so ignorant on that because, like, with my state, Indiana, right, it's a red state, right? Mm-hmm. And the Black vote is such a minority here that they don't really have to do any gerrymandering. Like, right. They don't have to strategize the way they do, like, in places like Georgia. So, right. Like, I was not totally familiar. To me, that's not so familiar here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was
it's not that.
Voting Rights. The Voting Rights Act, we were focused on, are they giving us the right to vote? That was never the case. But the biggest issue was what they were allowed to do with gerrymandering once it got shot down. Like all the other issues that was getting pushed publicly for whether we needed it or not, they were just hiding the fact that they were going to start back gerrymandering. And they showed us.
And I'm seeing though, like, and like I said, I'm on the outside looking in. And so it's seeming like that the fruits of that labor, that gerrymandering, is coming to fruition now, because now you have people with bad ideas that maintain an office. Like before even being a Republican, like in a Republican state, like you still had to have good ideas, bro. Like you couldn't just go up there and say, "Hey, the Mexicans," and then everybody love you and clap hands, and you know what I'm saying? And like right now, that's all you got to do is say the Mexicans, and now you voted into the office now, like, and that's due, and that's due to it seems like to me like that, and now that you confirmed it, it's due to the gerrymandering, to being able to draw the map the way you want it.
Well, I want to ask a question. I want to ask a question. So, besides what my politics is, I'm 56 going on 57 years old, and my politics is Black politics. I'm a member of the organization Afro-American Unity, Malcolm's organization, and I've been Black politically minded for 5 years. Okay, so where does gerrymandering mostly affect? So now I just want to ask a question. Gerrymandering affects what office? City, state, congressman, senator, presidential. Where's gerrymandering most harmful?
It could Congress. It could be all of those, bro. It could be all of those.
No,
but you answered it earlier. I think you did say it was more of a congressional type deal. Like,
that's how they got Cynthia McKinney out when they redistricted the lines.
That's my family member, right? Just to throw that out there. I ain't trying to,
I don't believe
brag.
Well, you should. She's amazing. We have some amazing Black women. So gerrymandering. So I did answer it in the beginning. It mostly affects Congress people, right? The congressional vote. And why is that important? Because of the
governor vote. It can affect the governor vote very well. It can also affect the governor vote very much. Definitely. But it counts. It counts on whether how it was done within the state, because it varies. It ain't. I don't think it's consistent across the board.
Because I understand. Because gerrymandering is basically setting up districts. So
manipulating districts.
Something else about just general voting, but I also said social media. Social media now is important on the voting rights bill. That's another question that I think that you that was asked about the voting rights. The voting rights bill has a lot to do with presidential politics, right?
It also cut out gerrymandering. Once they devoted it down, they immediately redistricted the lines. Like what I'm telling you happened in North Carolina happened like it was in 2 months after the voting bill ran down that they did it. And the whole time when they was even pressing and saying, "Oh, we're not gonna do it. It's not necessary no more." They
always do.
Because it was important for if you look at the line from the president down from the federal. So the federal is basically the Congress and the senators, right? But as far as how does gerrymandering affect the governor and the mayors?
So basically, once you isolate the votes, so whereas when you're having a governor, because a governor, like think about a governor vote, and so when they're having the vote that night, and they're saying, "We're waiting for this district to come in, and we're waiting for this district to come in, and we're waiting for this district to come in." So, like for example, in Atlanta, if they don't redraw the lines, some of those districts could have went to Stacey Abrams. But if you redraw the lines, you already know the Atlanta district's going to go to Abrams. And now they really got to wait and see what the suburbs do because they redo the lines. Some of those districts, there's enough black people, if they didn't redraw the lines, that some of those districts could have went to Abrams.
No, but the district.
They're not counting the votes by district.
Right.
So it's not like that. That's why when Corey said that every, an election year, and I was saying that every year is an election year, is because every year you got somebody to vote for. You got a congressperson, a junior senator, a senator, or somebody in your local government that has to be held accountable to its constituents. That's why I say every year is an election year. It's just not what the federal government does. So that's why I said.
So here it is. Here's the other part. So that district also could vote in a senator at the state level if they wasn't redrawn and isolated.
The congressperson for your district is the one that's going to speak out for your district. Now, let me say this. My first job as a 13-year-old, I worked for the district of my county. My very first job as 13 years old. And I learned a lot working for the district, and I learned where the laws was drawn, and I learned how, one side of the street was one district and another side of the street was another district. And, in one district, they were doing housing development where the people in that district, because of who was in charge, they put a program in place where these people got, at this time when I was 13 years old, they was getting free paint for their houses. They were getting free windows, free locks and stuff like that for their housing because they wanted to uplift the district. And the people that was on the other side, from the district, on the other two sides in a different district, it looked totally different. Now, as a result, the people in my district, they also lobbied for new housing. So, as a kid, one of my jobs was to go around and, sign these people up to make their housing look better. And when the housing looked better, then the district came in and they built in my district, they built all these new houses. So in my district, it was all these new houses, but on the other two sides, it looked terrible. So that's how I learned about the districting. And, it's the Congress that's doing the district. So when they redraw the lines, that's going to affect you as a homeowner. It's going to affect the benefits and the subsidies and things like that you get to make your district look better. They ain't gonna go across every district and say,
when they redraw the lines, we all, for example, let's say all of us on this call, if they redraw the lines in a way where we're all represented by one dude. Whereas if half of us on this call go move north of a city, we could have who we put in place and y'all could put who y'all need to put in place and have two people in Congress that's working for
Well,
the benefit of us. But if you
my
redraw
only
the line,
point,
we all got one person for all of us
well,
still.
my only
Don't
point
add
was
us
that
to, even
it's
though
the
half move north.
congressperson that's over the district. That's my only point. It's the congressperson that's over the district.
That's
Like
what I'm saying.
I don't know if y'all remember this or
It's
not,
Congress. I'm
but
like, no, it's
um,
local, it's state. It's state. That's state politics.
like
When you
for
only have
instance,
one
when George
representative for all the black people because they
Bush
redrew the line. That's state. That's state politics.
no, that's
No.
local. And I'm gonna give you an example.
That's my
When
point. So Reggie's
when
saying
Donald
this on
Trump
the level, and I'm saying no. It's at the local level that you have that the redrawing of lines fucks you up.
No,
when
only
Donald
for
Trump got into it with John Lewis before he died, Donald Trump made it a point to point out what was going on in John Lewis's district, and he was not wrong. Donald Trump was not wrong.
Right, but that got nothing to do with
that
the
man
people
had
that
been in
moved north
control
of Atlanta
that
that could have
district.
put somebody else in addition to John Lewis's district. The only reason,
Man, you vote for this
the only reason
congressperson.
John Lewis is representing all of those people is because of how they redrew the lines.
No, they didn't redraw the lines there. They redraw the lines on the outskirts so they can put more of those rural people in there. The redistricting didn't affect John Lewis. John Lewis had been in charge of that district for damn near ever. And nothing's changed. And I only been in Atlanta. I only been in Atlanta for 20 years. I'm not from Atlanta. I'm
so let me.
New York.
Okay,
And
what I'm saying
nothing
is
has changed in John Lewis's district.
not what I just
It
said.
looks like shit.
You're not
And when
listening to
Donald
what I
Trump said that, he was not lying.
Ma'am, here it is. I'm talking about that above Atlanta, people move to above Atlanta. They're represented by John Lewis too.
They wasn't.
Go look at it. Go pull up if you're on a map now. Go look at how the Atlanta voting line is drawn. It's got a little track that runs up north.
Well, I just want to
add that in John Lewis's district, it represented the county of Gwinnett. Because that's where the white money at in Gwinnett. John Lewis represented Gwinnett County. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying Gwinnett County. I'm saying look at how
that's north. You said north. That's north.
Okay, let me finish. Go look at how his district is drawn. Just go look at how it's drawn. And you'll be like, why does his district catch part north? Why is that called Atlanta? It's a funny ass line. The line is crazy as hell.
I just want to chime in. So here's the point. There are incumbents or older Black politicians that basically is like the free Christian in the South. They enjoy privileges for associating with white people, right? So they don't have any new ideas. They're pretty much getting their orders from. So people like him need young. There's so many young Black college educated people out of jobs that they need to take these positions. I disagree with Yvette Carnell's politics, but I don't disagree with Black women and young Black people making careers in politicians to understand how to outthink them. It's just a thinking game. And I applaud Jackie. Sister Jackie is on point. So the thing about when you're a congressman, all these congressmen and senators, they get budgets that they give back to their constituents.
Constituents. Yeah.
It's late at
it's
night.
All good. It's the pseudo killers here, bro. It's all good.
Can say it for me again. I can't get it out.
We know what you're talking about. It don't even matter. It's constituents, but we know what you're talking about. So what they do is,
so they reward their constituents, right, with this fund that they get. So the federal government gets all of our taxes, and if we're not watching it, they use their taxes for space and for military and for controlling power. But when you have good representatives, you can push money back into those communities. We're just not politically minded to go to these Negroes' offices and put them in a headlock, right? But the world has changed. You gotta understand, when Malcolm X lived and died, there was not one black city mayor. It was only after 67 with Stokes that we got the first city. So we didn't have to do organizations anymore. We use our organizations to elect elected official mayors. And so now the world's changed. Now, 2022, we're supposed to be the most advanced high-tech Negroes, right? If I want to use the word Negroes, but most advanced high-tech Black people ever in the history of the United States. And we are we're still the majority of it. But I do applaud. Look, Stacey Abrams needs to run a university on Black politics that people get degrees from. The redistricting is only for really congressional money, because that was the old school way of getting federal money, right? Now cities tell the goddamn congressmen, right, what to do now. It's not the same. Powerful city mayors, or more powerful, the city mayor in New York is more powerful than the goddamn governor of New York, right? Because the governor will not be in existence if he can't get the New York City vote. So he has to cater to the New York City mayor. So I'll stop and maybe, and listen.
Or even
Hey,
just to
it's more
follow up on what
cities
you
in
just
New York
said,
State. Like,
Reggie, right? Not only just the mayor, go in and have a conversation with your city manager, right? I started in terms of my career was state and local government, right? In terms of like the mayoral seats and the what is it, the city council, right? A lot of times you have these cities, the city manager has more power than anyone, right? Because they actually control a lot of the budgets in these cities. They actually work really closely with the finance offices, right? So
Absolutely.
you'll be surprised at what you can do. You can walk into your city hall and have a conversation with the city manager and what you can get done, right?
And the community
Yeah,
boards.
for
So
sure.
like in New
Yeah.
York, so for example, with Seneca Village, if people don't know, was a historical Black community that they did eminent domain, and they kicked Black people out. It's part of Central Park. And so I walked into a community board meeting with a Dr. Leonard Jeffries and said to the community board, look, Seneca Village, even though it's not in Harlem, you have power. And so, because this was a community before Harlem, right? So you need to get in there, and so we forced we forced the white folks in charge to to um, to to create Seneca Village signage, right? And to put Seneca Village back on the map, right? So local politics, even on your city level, your city leader, those type of things equate to power. And so what we are actually talking about is power. So someone like Yvette Cornell, there's good and bad things about her, but she's smart. She knows about power. What we don't understand is all this YouTube stuff that we're doing, and all this stuff. We're creating discord to educate people who would not normally be educated, to get to them, so that we can get them to do something besides. Like when you click or like, that's the same thing as clicking a candidate. I hope y'all know that. I hope y'all know that. That's as
Yeah.
powerful. If I can get
not
somebody to like,
clicking a like,
yes,
he's gonna dislike too,
correct.
or
That's
leaving a comment.
That's correct. So it's the whole thing about it is social media is allowing us to be able to take action, right? A click, a like, a dislike, a comment. Guess what? To vote a person in is the same amount of goddamn energy.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Black people don't want to
Reggie,
fill out
you
this.
skipped all around the question, Reggie, but it sounds like you agree with Yvette Carnell when it comes to downvoting. It sounds like you agree with downvoting.
Sis, you know,
I gave
sis,
you my
if I
analysis.
could ask you just a piece in terms of what I think about what Yvette and I guess her ilk was sort of suggesting with downvoting. I think what they were really doing, they were trying to really highlight the importance of, I guess, you would say the down ballot. I don't think they were. Yeah, I don't like how they said it. Well, just okay, just do the down voting. Don't worry about the presidential ticket. I don't think they should have done that, right? I think what they really should have done is say that, okay, well, you should look down ballot and don't overlook the state, local, and city government electoral situations, right?
You're correct.
I think they sort of skewed it when they said that, well, yeah, don't worry about presidential politics is important, right? But don't overlook these other pieces as well.
I could,
Yeah.
I think
Right.
it was mixing it up. So
Yeah.
the downvoting was a very simple strategy of trying to wake the Democrats up to that we were willing to make a move and not just rock with them. And so downvoting is very simple. Don't vote for the president, vote for the rest of the ballot. So, and it's not about whether I agree with them or not. You're just kind of missing the strategy. So what happens is, because their whole play, which I am going to agree with this part, their whole play and focus is about reparations. And so in order to wake the party up, because in their belief, they believe, similar to me in this sense, that they in a sense prefer that we would be independents. However, based on how the parties are constituted right now and based on their public policies, they think the win for reparations would be from the Democratic side. That's what they think. Again, they're not necessarily Democrats. That's just what they believe, because their whole focus is reparations.
Can I ask you
However,
a question?
oh, go ahead.
What's more important, federal reparations or local reparations?
Federal, because the local don't have enough money to pull it off. They've been successful with a couple. They've been successful. Yvette have been successful.
Why do you say that? Why do you
Right.
say that?
Right. Right.
Or why do I say that?
Yeah. Why you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because local doesn't have enough money to pull off the amount of reparations that's necessary.
So
Wait a
reparations.
minute. I think that reparations is not
Yeah.
just only about money. And
I think
I'll bring it up again. When I was a kid, me and my friend, we used to go to the library all the time. We loved the library. And I remember I was too young to understand politics at the time, but I remember the big political thing that was going on. It had nothing to do with nothing that had anything to do with federal. It was local elections, and they closed they closed all the libraries in the Black communities. That hurt us.
But
I don't know
again,
what
you'll
that-
be surprised. You'll be surprised how much of your local stuff is funded federally.
but the local control is.
You
If you,
asked me about the
but,
Well, we
even if it was a
we vote
local
for
sort
people
of
to get that money
reparations,
for us.
they would
We
ask for the
vote for
money
these
from the
people to get
federal.
this
Yeah.
money. We not voting for this federal money on our own. We voting for people to go to Congress and advocate for us to have this money. And another thing I remember, as I got older, I remember Kmart wanted to build a big super center in our neighborhood, in the hood. They tore down all these people's houses. They tore down the streets. And as soon as that lease that they had, or that deal they had with the city to put that there, where they wouldn't have to pay no taxes or none of that, they left a big ass empty building and a big ass empty parking lot. And Black people blindly voted for that because Democrats said it would be a good thing for us. And it wasn't.
we still talking
So I just want to end this with this, Reggie. When I was asking about Yvette Carnell, I never, I never gave my opinion on it, but I never looked at her as, as really concentrating on a federal level or anything like that with the downvote. To me, what she was saying with the downvote is making sure that the people that you put in office to control where you live at lives up to their responsibility. So that's what I took from you know, down the
So,
idea of
what is
downvoting. We don't have to go to the damn polls and put a person into office just because they're a Democrat and expect for them to look out for us in our communities. And like I said, I didn't realize all this stuff until I got older. You know, I'll be honest. I didn't realize all that shit until I moved to Atlanta and seeing how different things was. Because being from upstate New York and having white people run everything and depending on white people, and then when you get a black person in office, they don't do nothing that they say they're gonna do. It was a totally like a culture shock to move from upstate New York to Atlanta, where black people was in charge, and see shit totally different. Whereas black people still wasn't getting nothing.
Oh no, hold up, Atlanta, hold up, Atlanta is a whole black city.
I
Like,
know that.
everything in Atlanta is ran by black folk. Like, Atlanta is the new Black Wall Street, if you want to be real about it. Atlanta is doing a lot of major things. I don't know. I'm not gonna, because I don't know you, and I just jumped on here, and I don't want to go the wrong way because I don't know exactly what the conversation is about. But what I'm gonna say about Atlanta is a new black Mecca. They doing major moves in Atlanta. Like, they doing major things politically in Atlanta.
Do you live
No,
in Atlanta?
I have family in Atlanta. I have cousins. I have a lot of family in Atlanta. I don't live in Atlanta. No, I live in.
But having family in Atlanta is different from being affected by the laws of Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
I understand that. I understand
it's like
that.
talking about Africa. It's talking about Africa, and you live in New York and you never traveled. So
No, not true, not true. Because I've traveled to Atlanta and I have been in Atlanta for. I spent a lot of time in Atlanta.
I felt that. I felt that shot, Reggie.
The power of Georgia. The power of Georgia is Atlanta is important, but some of the counties around Atlanta, right, or even
Atlanta pretty much won Georgia this year in the 2020 election.
Talk to him. He don't know.
I don't. I mean, I think I do. This is like literally my subject. So, I mean, we can go all the way in on this. Like, literally, Atlanta is what won the Georgia election. It was I forgot the name of the county, but it was the counties that's surrounding Atlanta.
Gwinnett,
all those counties are the ones that actually won the election this year for Georgia.
Atlanta, it's the counties around Atlanta that,
and including Atlanta. No. But you got to understand that Atlanta is the epicenter.
Yeah,
Atlanta is the center of all that. People are moving.
Atlanta,
No. People are moving to that region for Atlanta. They're not moving that region for
Atlanta,
counties.
but they live in the counties.
That's
Most
true.
of them people that you're talking about,
it's all a part of it, right?
They don't live in Atlanta.
Right.
It's the same thing when you talk about DC.
It's a
right?
difference.
It has a
It's
collection of suburbs around DC
and
all this.
And metropolitan Atlanta. It's a big difference. And you know, I lived in the city of Atlanta. Now I live in
that whole region, though. That whole region is controlled. All right. I don't think.
The thing you have to do is just pull it up and look at the voting.
For the mayor of Atlanta.
Just look up the vote. Look up the voting numbers.
Listen, everybody. Listen, everybody. I'm gonna close out the show because it's 12:30. I gotta go to work in the morning, y'all. What I will say is I'm gonna talk Sheffrin into doing a lunchtime show. So everybody on the panel is welcome back to continue the conversation. Y'all already know, like, politics is other than astrophysics, is my favorite subject. So I really I learned a lot from everybody tonight, from each and every person on the panel.
I want to salute Jackie. So whatever Stacey Abrams has done, you got daughters and sisters like Sister Jackie. They're on. I wouldn't say if you're not right or you're half right, but I think that Sister Jackie is definitely someone that we should have often when it comes to politics. Not because she's a woman or anything, just because she's She knows the lay of the land and she knows the language. So
Yeah, and I want to give a
Oh,
shout out. I
Sister
want to give a
Jackie
shout out to
is
Montoya.
as a
On,
pseudo killer.
hey,
Go
can I
ahead.
give a shout out to Montoya as well, because he did the breakdown of the gerrymandering in terms of that piece, because he gave a clinic on that. Right, that was extremely informative, brother. I appreciate you for that. That was really nice.
can you read my free book, the Black City Plan, blackcityplan.com?
Hey fellas, can we do at least a week on just straight politics? Can we just do a whole week on just what's going on in the country right now?
If it's up to me, bro, we got that. We gonna do that. You know what I'm saying?
It need to be done because that's like really important. We really at war right now. People just don't understand what's going on. Russia has done a lot. The whole 5G thing, that's Russia.
Like it has to do with anything.
It has to do with propaganda. Propaganda is the first stage of war.
There's some things.
What I'm saying is we're at war right now, like literally at war.
What I will say is there's some tension going on with Russia, and that's a good thing to bring to the political conversation.
Oh yeah, they propaganda have been fucking us up since the beginning of the pandemic. They've been putting the propaganda out there. The whole reason everybody hate Hillary Clinton is because of Russia.
No, I live in New York. Fuck Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
right?
man.
Nobody really liked her anyway,
no,
but
fuck Hillary Clinton.
I'm sure he didn't.
A lot of the reason why people are saying that is not because of their own thing. They didn't come up upon that by their own research. What happened was Russia did a propaganda campaign against Hillary Clinton.
Where you live?
Yo, it ain't about living in New York. It's not really about living in New York. She was running. She was the Secretary of State for the whole country.
You don't know nothing about. You don't. Then I mean,
I think I do, brother Reggie. Come on now. I was going to give you when I came on here. I wanted to give Reggie big ups.
We calming.
You know why I wanted to give Reggie big ups? Hold up, I still got to give him big ups, even though he talking shit.
I just saying that I live in New York.
No. Let me say this. I gotta say this, because Reggie was right about something. Reggie was all the way right. When he was talking about, remember early in the pandemic, Reggie was the one that came out with the thing that was saying that the virus might have came out of the laboratory.
Okay.
Now, I've been following the data. I've been following the intelligence reports. The intelligence reports saying that it's a very good chance that it could have came out of laboratory. Reggie might have been right the whole time.
Yeah, Unc and the pseudo killers beat me up. But listen, we could be friends. We could just partially disagree. Hillary,
like I said, we're gonna continue the conversation. I'm gonna try to talk Chef Renell into doing a lunchtime thing. So all of those points sounded very interesting, and I wanna have that for the lunch show.
I want to apologize to my brother. It's just that we just have a little difference of opinions, but
that's what we do over here.
We just gotta listen to each other. You didn't hear my point of view yet. You know what I mean? You haven't heard my point of view. That's all it is.
Fine. I want everybody to say their closing statements. Go ahead, True Story. You say some closing statements, brother, and we're gonna let everybody close out, man. And we're gonna continue this at lunch. Go ahead, True.
All right. I came on late. This is actually my subject. I love talking politics because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of stuff going on that we need to actually talk about as a people. You know what I mean? So I hope we do continue this conversation. You know what I mean? Other than that, I got a YouTube channel called Global Explorers. If y'all not following my page, I got a nice little travel page. If y'all like to travel, like I live in Mexico right now, so I got a lot of Mexico stuff going on. So, I mean,
you ain't never said that, man. We would have been and subscribed and promoted your page and everything.
No, I said it.
At least I never heard you.
Yeah, people probably never caught it. But yeah, I got a YouTube channel. What I do is I promote businesses here in Puerto Vallarta. Right now, during Black History Month, I'm gonna promote every Black business down here. You know what I mean? That's my goal for the whole month of February. You know what I mean? It's a nice little vacation spot. It's other than, I know a lot of people when they come to Mexico, they like to go to Cancun or Tulum or Playa del Carmen, but this is the other side. This is the Pacific coast.
This is the resort town on the Pacific coast, and it's amazing. It's like beautiful down here, yo.
What's the name of your page? I must subscribe.
Global Explorers.
Yeah, everybody subscribe. Global Explorers, and definitely, I'm definitely gonna subscribe. Check you out. I'll be. Do you go live or do you just you
Nah,
post
I need
your?
to go live. The only reason I don't go
content?
live because they don't have the Wi-Fi sucks down here. Me having an American, I have T-Mobile, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a Mexican phone plan, though I can't get a live feed like that. But if I'm gonna get a Mexican phone so I can do
it. Yeah, right on. All right, go ahead, brother Reggie. Go ahead and say some closing words, brother. Appreciate you coming on, though, Truth. Go ahead and say some closing words.
I'm listening every day, yo. If I'm not on here, I'm definitely listening.
Well, I want to apologize to
that,
anybody that I may have offended.
Man, come on, man. We don't do that on the Pseudo Killers.
They didn't push
I ain't
me.
offended, I ain't offended, bro. I understand you, Reg. I've been watching you too long.
They didn't push me to debate mode. I got.
Nah, I done watched you too long, bro. We just have a difference of opinion right now. Yo, ain't no major thing.
They done made me a goddamn Marine Special Forces. I gotta go out first against everything. I don't even want to mention because I don't want to. Well, anyway, listen. I respect y'all. That's why I come on here to listen to what the Pseudo Killers and the community has to say. And I pay for it. I could be doing other things for income, but I pay for it just to listen to younger people who are at the front line. I'm not going to be here that long, just because of my age and my health and stuff like that. But the time that I give you my best thoughts, right? And when you're able to prove me wrong, that's a real good thing, because I think that I've been around and had some great teachers. And so if you prove me wrong, then you're expanding Black thought, right? And so I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate you, brother Reggie, man. I appreciate you coming over here, man. We give you shit, but what I'm saying, that's just what we do, man. We give everybody some shit over here.
Yeah, man. That Mediterranean stuff, we gonna come back to that for you. Huh?
Real talk. When Reggie came out with the information about the lab, I thought he might have been like, yo, like Reggie don't know what he talking about, but Reggie might have known what he was talking about. Yo, y'all gotta read these reports. Y'all gotta read the recent reports from the FBI that they really don't know, because China is not turning over enough information for them to decide whether or not it came from nature or did it come from the lab.
Right?
We're gonna have to dedicate 2 shows to that. That's
no, you get shut
2
down.
shows.
You get shut down.
Go ahead. But
we won't get shut down because we speaking the truth. This is like real truth. It's like intelligence reports that detail this shit.
That's why you get shut down. I hear the truth.
I'm giving out my last words.
Go ahead, Jackie. Go ahead, Jackie. Say some closing words, and we're gonna close it on out. Go ahead, Jackie. And then Brendan, you can say some closing words.
Thank you, brother Reggie, for recognizing me. Thank you so much. And I really think that. Oh, and thank you, Corey and Sheffrey, for letting me participate in this show. And I really think that the conversation about Black politics and education and how it affects, early education, how it affects children, and how it leads to, how we politically govern where we live. I think that should be a focus for pseudo killers. Y'all can't always attack the damn virus. Y'all got to attack how we live in too. And that plays a major part, because there's a lot of Black people out here that's dying from the virus. And the reason why is because a lack of not admitting to what they learned, because they think they learned it from white people, so it might be wrong. So I think that should be a focal point of the pseudo killers. And, more focus should be on the politics of us, not politics period, but the politics of us. And I would appreciate it if somebody Corey, Sheffreen, CK, anybody, one of y'all pseudo killers, just made it your business, maybe once or twice a month or something, to, have a show and dedicate it to, us governing ourselves, because we need that education here. We can't have this going around all the time, that our parents or whoever the hell was superstitious about politics and doctors. So, this is something that we take into adulthood without doing the studies itself, because politics is a science too. Don't forget that. It don't gotta just
and to that comment, Jackie, y'all run the channel. The audience runs the channel. The channel goes towards where the audience pulls us. So this is direction, but this is one of my favorite things. So I would, you ain't gonna get no objectives from me. Like I would definitely be willing to do that and a lot more often, actually. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I'm all in.
but definitely, the audience guys, we come in with a subject matter, right? Like I did earlier, but once we open up the panel, y'all guide the conversation. So just to let you know that too, Jackie, you could always steer the conversation towards politics or wherever the crowd goes, we goes, So
I'm here most of the time, but I'm not always able to speak, so that's why I'm thanking you for actually letting me speak this time, because I was actually able to come on and speak. So I really do appreciate that. I'm not a pseudo killer. I don't have all that knowledge that y'all have and do no studying and all that stuff. But it is something that I feel that I could add that is beneficial, or just something that people could look into. And I suggest that people look into the whole idea of downvote and how we can hold these people that we put in power. And I'm going to say power because they do have some type of power that we put in power over our neighborhoods or whatever you want to call it. What they give us, what they give back, what they promise. We shouldn't blindly be given votes. So that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Jackie, and everything. Like we don't think we don't recognize everything you do for the channel. So definitely, and don't and put your Cash App in there too. I want to hit that, and we're gonna be hitting that, and everybody in the audience, like I said, Jackie hold us down, like, so hit that Cash App. But go ahead, Brendan. You want to say some closing words, and then Montoya.
Yeah, just briefly, I'll just backpack on just what you say. Everybody just support the channel. It's like, hey, these guys take time. These are working gentlemen just like myself, right? They take time out of their day to bring us content, to bring us education, right, and entertainment, right. So and plus, like I think today's conversation was really good because I learned a whole lot, right, in terms of just the politics piece, because I just sit back and just listen to people that actually, I think, in terms of Jackie, Montoya, and Reggie, they're actually activists. They work with the community, and they have some experience in these fields. So yeah, that was really, I think, educational for me. So I'd say I really appreciate that, and they say, hey, it's great. That was a great show.
Yeah, appreciate you, Brendan, for everything you bring to the channel. All the knowledge and the
And I would say
level head.
one other
Go ahead.
thing, I would say, hey, anybody you having problems in your community, don't hesitate. March yourself out to your city hall and talk to these people, these representatives, your city managers, the clerks, the county clerks, these people that are in the law offices, and even your county commissioners, right? Down south, that's a big thing, right? The county commissioners hold a lot of sway, right? Don't hesitate. These people work for you. Go into these offices and ask for assistance, whatever you need, and bring your grievances to them directly. You'll be surprised what you can get done.
Yeah, can I
Definitely.
add on to that real quick?
Mhm.
What people need to do is literally go to their community meetings. Your communities have board meetings like almost every month. It's people don't know about them because we just don't participate. What we need to do is start sitting on these board meetings, make decisions for our own communities. You know what I mean? We'll be able to vote in our own community just because we're in the board meeting. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
What we're not doing is participating. We're not participating in the process.
Brother Reggie mentioned that.
We're
Yep,
bucking the
for sure.
process.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe we need to. My whole goal right now is not to buck the process of elections. What I think we need to do as a people is
Participate.
literally elect our own candidates. Like, come up, find our own candidates, people that we know that can run our communities, that we want to run our communities, and have them run for election. It literally costs, in Maryland, I don't know where it costs everybody else, it costs $200. And all you got to do is get like 1% of the signatures in your community to be able to register as a candidate to be elected. Like, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. You know what I mean? We can really put our own people in front and actually have our own people run the community. We need to stop telling our kids not to be the police. We need to tell our kids be the police, be the lawyers, be the mayors, be the judges, be everything. You know what I mean? That's how we take control of this country. That's how we start making laws that benefit us.
Definitely. Go ahead, Montroy. Say your
cool.
closing words and then Stu Peas.
All right, you know me, I like to be accurate, so I just wanted to show you down ballot is a candidate for office listed below the most important office on the ballot. So down ballot simply meant in the national election is you vote for everybody except for the top position on the ballot, which in this case, the past general election was the president. Again, I'm just highlighting, and the reason I'm highlighting and reading the definition is because even what the brother just said, I'll just throw out that it's a process of doing both, in my opinion, when you're talking about running our own people. Well, because the two parties have such a stronghold, there is a process, and this is where I agree with your vet and Tone, is you gotta wake the party up to the fact that you won't just do what they ask. And so she just wanted to scare the Democrats and have people not vote for the president just to prove you can't just get our vote, because unfortunately they won't listen to you if you're not willing to vote them out. I wish it was as simple as running another candidate. It's cheap to get on the ticket, very expensive to win a race. And so what happens is if they can't count on our vote, they will actually have to deliver something. So that's why I'm a fan of what Yvette Cardinal.
I hear you, right? But say the wrong candidate gets back on the ticket. That's not benefiting us. You got a lot of white supremacist stuff going on right now within the politic realm. If the wrong candidate in the office, you know what I mean? Even if it is for 4 years, you know what I mean? They still gonna affect our fucking lives.
But that's what the Democrats currently use to ensure they make us turn out. So what happens is
no, it's not the Democrats right now. It's clearly that
Hold on. We closing out.
Yeah, these are closing,
very
closings,
clear.
not debates.
We not debating.
Closing.
We closing out. We closing
Yeah,
out.
we close
But
the
no,
documents. You can't take a comment after everybody.
Stu Peas has not said something since we started the show. I didn't even know Stu Peas was still alive, man. Go ahead, Stu Peas. Say something, brother.
I was listening. Sometimes I don't have to talk. I can listen. I listen just as well as I talk. I appreciate everybody on the panel. I appreciate the brothers. I appreciate the sister. A good show. And when two or more are gathered together, we can call it church. Not because we're not saying hello to Sky Daddy, but we use the church in the beginning as a learning experience, and the opportunity to have a conversation with you guys is a real learning experience, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. Thank you, everybody on the panel.
Appreciate it, Stu Peas. One thing about Stu Peas, he always keep it 100 with me, man. So I appreciate Stu Pease and what he brings to the table. I just want to say, man, like, you know, I really wanted to highlight earlier on the earlier show, right before this politics show, right, which the earlier show led into politics, because it all ties in together, right. I wanted to highlight the responsibilities we have as fathers, right, and not to disclude the mothers, right, but you know, I just wanted to highlight the fathers, right, the tough guys, right, the ones that don't want to go see the doctor, right, the ones that's too tough to go get stitches for the cut, you know, that he got cut.
Don't forget to get teeth put in their mouth.
Right, going to the dentist and all of that, right? So this is for all of those fathers, right, that, you know, that have those people that's looking out for them, that's dependent on them, right? We don't want to leave them before they prepared to be left. So we want to just think about the decisions we make. And I know everything we as Americans, we think we're free. We think all of this, you know what I'm saying? It's my right, and I'm an American, but we ain't thinking about ourselves, right? Our families. We only thinking about ourselves at that point. So just think about that as fathers. That's my closing statements, man. I want everybody to, man, tune in tomorrow, man. Like I said, I'm gonna talk Chef and L into making that lunchtime thing. If y'all got Chef and L on Facebook, y'all hit him up, tell him Concrete Corey said get that lunchtime thing cracking, right? But I just want to say to everybody, man, a liar make it halfway around the corner before the truth get out of bed and get his pants on. So let's get up and get it out, y'all. Peace.
Right.
All
Go
right, bro.
schedule you a physical, you filthy animal.
Right.